All that and much, much more. It's just come up to 6 o'clock here on the Sports Breakfast. Let's go to the news headlines with Zora Solomon.
Thanks, Ronnie. David Cameron has returned to Downing Street after cutting short a visit to France to coordinate the government's response to the killing of a man in south-east London in what's being described as a terror attack. The victim, thought to have been a serving soldier from a nearby army barracks, was hacked to death in the streets yesterday afternoon. Home Secretary Theresa May has described what happened as a sickening and barbaric attack.
We have seen terrorism on the streets of Britain before, and we have always stood firm against it. Despicable acts like these will not go unpunished.
Well, 2 men who were shot by police at the scene. They're now under arrest and are being treated at separate hospitals in London. This morning, another meeting of the government's emergency committee, COBRA, will take place. Meantime, riot police last night contained an English Defence League demo following the Woolwich killing, whilst elsewhere 2 mosques were attacked, one in Essex and one in Kent. And in other news, more than half of children aged 7 to 11 in England are unable to swim one length of a typical pool unaided, according to the sport's governing body. The Amateur Swimming Association surveyed 3,500 primaries and found only 2% of them delivered the recommended 22 hours a year of lessons.
talkSPORT.
I'm Pete Abbott. Wigan owner Dave Whelan has told talkSPORT he won't stand in Roberto Martinez's way if he wants to leave the club, but says he expects him to stay. Having met yesterday, Martinez asked for another 24 hours before making an announcement on his future. Whelan told talkSPORT he's confident Martinez will stay loyal to the relegated FA Cup winners.
I sincerely hope so, but I would also back him if he wants to go. I will shake hands with Roberto and say I wish you every bit of good luck in the world, because the last season he has had the worst luck that any manager has had in the Premier League for a very, very long time.
Well, Martinez has been linked with both the Everton and Stoke City managers' jobs, but Paul Kendick from the Wigan Evening Post told Kickoff that a move to the Britannia Stadium is unlikely.
I'd be very, very surprised if he went there. No disrespect to Stoke, but I think if he did leave Wigan, it would be for a club a lot nearer the top end of the Premier League. So it looks to me as if it's Everton or staying at Wigan. And like I said, the inkling that I get is that he might well see that his time is not quite finished.
It's looking like a case of when rather than if Manuel Pellegrini will become Manchester City's new manager. Malaga have confirmed their boss is to leave them following their final game of the Spanish season against Barcelona on June the 1st. Golf's PGA Championship begins at 7 o'clock this morning at Wentworth. Luke Donald is bidding to match Colin Montgomery's record of 3 successive victories at the event when he tees off after lunch. And Wasps winger Christian Wade has become the first player to be named the Rugby Players Association Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year in the same season. All the latest sports news is on the website talksport.co.uk.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast with Ronnie Irani on talkSPORT.
Good morning, 5 minutes after 6 o'clock. Good morning. Roberto Martinez's future at Wigan is set to be decided later today after the Spaniard held talks with Chairman Dave Whelan. Whelan spoke to talkSPORT and said he hoped to carry on with the FA Cup winners.
My gut feeling, just talking to him, is that he will stay. But that's not definite. And, Roberto is such an honest man, and he came over absolutely clearly and said, I want another 24 hours to think about it.
Said that before, hasn't he, Dave Whelan, and Roberto stayed. Meanwhile, Manuel Pellegrini's move to Manchester City, that edged a wee bit closer last night, as the Chilean confirmed he will leave Malaga at the end of the season. City midfielder Sami Nasri told Sky Sports News that Pellegrini is the perfect choice to replace Mancini.
I think he's a great manager. He proved himself in Villarreal, in Real Madrid as well, even if he didn't win the title, but he finished with 96 points the season. You pay ticket to go to football to see something great, and he's the kind of manager who can do it.
Manchester City fans, are you convinced now that Pellegrini is the right man to take the club forward? And Wigan fans, how crucial is it that you keep hold of Martinez? Call us 0871 722 3344. You can text us 81089 or email through the website talksport.co.uk. Good morning and welcome to talkSPORT.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT.
6 minutes past 6 o'clock. What a day yesterday, Ronnie. Unbelievable.
Yeah, incredible.
What a day that was yesterday. I don't know where to start, to be honest.
I know. It's just, just remarkable, really. What on earth is going on in this world when things like that happen now? Over at Woolwich, it's just, I don't know, the scenes were just incredible, and the photos that were emerging throughout the day, and obviously the Prime Minister was over in Paris, wasn't he? And he, referred a statement over saying he needed to come back and really just get in and try and help and sort things out, because what a mess. Terrible, wasn't it? Shocking.
In
not
the
far
world,
from you, is it?
Well, not too far, no. I must admit, I sat in the Marriott yesterday and just was astonished looking at the pictures. Astonished, incredible. Yeah. The world of racing and football will come through the headlines. Just on racing, timing's all wrong here for me, and we'll talk racing at 10 to 7 as normal. This is Eddie Ahern, 10-year ban for Ahern. This is a few days before the Derby. Couldn't have just thought about doing it after? We've had too much bad publicity in the world of racing with Godolphin.
Frankie.
Do you know what I mean? Frankie, Dettori's not giving up the Derby's the headline. We don't know what's going on there. Honestly, the timing stinks that this should have been put back to after. The Derby goes round the world, you know? And at the moment, there's just a massive cloud over racing. It's shocking.
Right. Well, reading it this morning, Eddie Ahern has been banned for 10 years. For corruption, and he's going to appeal against his ban. That's what we're reading this morning in the papers, but it's serious stuff, isn't it?
Big style. Right, also, Bale, the real deal. Ramos would love you, Gareth. Gareth Bale was last night urged by Real Madrid. Sergio Ramos says, come and join us. And this is going to happen now. This is going to be every week now. We're going to be reading this.
He's not going to stay, is he?
I don't know, Ronnie, I really don't know. I feel that Tottenham fans, I honestly believe, I know Arsenal have picked him again for that 4th spot, but I think Tottenham fans are really, honestly believing we're getting there, and we will get there. With AVB, and I think this is a real test for the board of Tottenham Hotspur, a real test to show their commitment and say, no, he's not going. We are going to get in amongst the big boys. We've got the stadium, we've got increased capacity. This club's in a great spot at the moment, and we want to continue improvement. If they sell him, then I think that's another, we're just a selling club.
Yeah, but is it a case of it's a matter of time before he does go? I'm not saying he's going to go this season.
Well, it depends on him and his agent,
when Real Madrid come calling now,
No, absolutely. It's very, 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 very difficult to turn that down, and because he's getting enough money as it is, but suddenly you don't know, there could be a massive signing on fee. You could be secure, not just for your life, your family's life, your family's life. So it's, you can say this guy loves his football and he looks after himself brilliantly. Yeah. We know that. But at the end of the day, it's hard to forget about the money side of it, to think, Frankie,
and also to go in at a club and play with arguably the best players around Europe, and to challenge for Champions League, all the trophies. You're going to be winning trophies. Okay, maybe not straight away, but certainly you're going in with a shout. Changes at Real Madrid as well. So it's a matter of time for me before he does go, because footballers, sportsmen, anyone out always thinks to themselves, what if?
Yeah.
You're only one nasty challenger. Look at certain players.
And the way he plays the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way he plays defenders, because he's pace, they dive in on him.
Of course they do.
And it just takes one nasty to catch him.
Just takes one chance.
So I'm not making excuses for him, and I'll just be really interested to see how Mr. Levy handles this one.
Yeah, well, like you say, maybe at some stage everybody talks about Daniel Levy. He's very good when it comes to negotiation. Almost poker face, isn't he? And very much business-like. But at some stage, you got to be careful, because not everyone you can get right. And at this stage, Tottenham can take a lot of money from Gareth Bale as well.
Another guy who I like, I'm not a genius to pick him either, is Benteke. Villa now, this is according to the papers this morning, Aston Villa have had to book Benteke's new contract talks on ice, Ronnie. He's only 22-year-old, this kid. He scored 19 Premier League goals last term. He's an international duty with Belgium. This country faced a warm-up game in the US before playing a World Cup qualifier with Serbia. That's in the early part of June. But here it claims Spurs, Arsenal, Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund are all keen on the powerhouse striker.
Yeah, and I was reading about Darren Bent, wasn't it? Looks like he's on his way. That Villa are going to have to face a loss of £18 million.
Well, they left him out, and look, Paul Lambert, he's like that. If he don't rate you and don't like you, that's it.
Yeah, you're right.
But there's no doubt, Bent, did he not come on? Did he not play last week and score? So I'm pretty certain there'll be takers for him.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, Fulham have been linked with him, hasn't he? So, he's on £65,000 a week, reporting in the papers this morning. He's a top earner at Aston Villa.
What do you make of that? Before we got into the Kessel and more football stories, Sergio Garcia. That was a strange. Weird, that was a strange one. Headlines again this morning.
It's all over.
Surge of hate. Spaniard to face fan fury at the US Open.
I know. Sponsors to review deals as well, despite the Spaniard's apology. World number one calls the jibe hurtful and clearly inappropriate. So yeah, I mean it's not good. You have to. Sergio Garcia, we know, is a wonderful player, is a character, but he's made a rick here. He's obviously, apologised, and it's just, not great, Al, not great.
And I tell you what's bad news as well, horrendous news. Manchester United last night mourned the sudden death of former player Brian Greenhoff.
I heard that yesterday.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, my dad rang me about that. Very, very sad. Very sad.
Just 60. Just 60.
I know, sad. I tell you, sends regards. Alan Lamb, I was with Lammy. Pippa Middleton. I was with Pippa Middleton last night at the Natural History Museum. Very, very good. Big function for charity. And, Lammy. He's fun, isn't he? Absolute star. But, not good. You have to move on.
Tell you she enjoys the show?
No.
I think she might be classical FM, Ronnie.
She did say what she listens to, but I won't repeat it.
Yeah. Right. Plenty going on. Britannia Highs, Pulis so proud of his Stoke record as well. Who's going to get that job, eh? Who's going to? And of course, we're building up to the playoffs on Monday. What a game this is going to be.
Game, isn't it?
What a game.
We've
got
tickets yet?
They've all sold. All gone. I tried to get Pete some and all gone. Absolutely. Now, also, high price of failure. Another one. Fans furious tickets go up and up and up. We'll look at that later on this morning as well. Loads to get through. It's day one practice of the Monaco Grand Prix. And Telescope, Fergie's horse, did not work great yesterday at Lingfield ahead of the Epsom Derby. Will he go? Looks like another gallop at the weekend at Newmarket, and then they'll decide, does Telescope go to the Derby to take on Dawn Approach? 13 after 6. Good morning, 18 minutes after 6 o'clock. Good morning. You're waking up to the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Here's the headlines making the back pages this morning. Let's start with the Daily Telegraph. Pellegrini ready for an early start with City. Mancini's successor could be confirmed in the job next week.
In the same paper, Whelan optimistic Martinez will stay. Wigan Athletic chairman Dave Whelan is confident that manager Roberto Martinez will opt to stay at the club when the Spaniard makes a final decision today on his future.
A Daily Mirror, Torres takes a nap. Napoli want Rafa Benitez and Torres to form a dream team over in Italy.
Daily Express, a Paris match. French big spenders PSG to make audacious bids to reunite Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo. This is the dream team.
And the Sun, Bale, the real deal. Gareth Bale last night urged by Real Madrid star Sergio Ramos, come and join us. Those are some of the headlines this morning in your papers. It's coming up to 19 after 6.
The big stories of the day on talkSPORT with the all-new Ford Transit Custom, International Van of the Year 2013.
Right, let's get a roundup. Pete Abbott's here. Morning, Pete.
Morning, Pete.
Good morning to you, boys. The back page is really filled with Sergio Garcia this morning and these ill-advised comments by him towards Tiger Woods. He's been forced to apologise after what's being construed as a racist remark about Tiger Woods at an awards dinner. He has escaped official punishment, but his sponsors aren't happy. It could cost him millions of quid overall. Through his sponsors.
I'm just talking to Ronnie about it, and I'm being deadly serious and honest here. I don't really get it. You know, what's so really bad about it? Okay, I've not been to America for a long time, but I don't know what he was trying to do. But I don't think it's what people are trying to make out. I really don't.
Well, it's a different situation, I think, in America, Al. I mean, there's a lot more. There's a lot more awareness, I think, about racism in particular in America, and I think there's a lot more that's sort of said about racism, and I think a lot of people are a bit more aware in America about making comments such as this.
Yeah.
And
I just wonder if he's look, it's not his native tongue, is it? I'm not trying to say it's got lost in translation, but sometimes you try to be funny. in a different language, I think he might get it wrong. But
yeah, I think listen, I think he was trying to make an amusing comment. I don't think he was trying to be racist in any way, but it's come across that way. And he's clearly regretful about what he said.
He's apologised, hasn't he?
He's apologised. He's apologised.
Will he go to the US Open?
I would think so. Yeah, I mean he's
had problems with American people before. Remember the Ryder Cup? They really got stuck into him.
Well, I think this is
not the last one. A few Ryder Cups ago, they've targeted him and really give him hammer.
Well, I think there's been a problem between him and Tiger Woods for some time. This isn't something that's just started up overnight. It all comes from the Players' Championship a couple of weeks ago, actually, when they had a spat there, and it's been going on really sort of in the media ever since. And this is just the sort of the latest stage of it. But hopefully now this will be the end of it. I mean, it
was a silly comment, wasn't it? At the European Tour Annual Awards, if people don't know what he said, we've got on here. But he said, would he invite Tiger Woods round? And Garcia said, yeah, we'll have him round every night. And Garcia said, we'll serve fried chicken. So inappropriate and silly.
Right, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's a comment perhaps that probably would be laughed off over here. In the States, it's a different situation completely. It was inappropriate. Tiger Woods has claimed the comments were hurtful and wrong. And as I say, Garcia has apologised for this. He's escaped official punishment, so I don't think there's going to be any question of him not being playing in the US Open or anywhere else. And hopefully we can concentrate on golf, because Sergio Garcia himself has said at the tournament of the weekend, he said he played terribly because he was thinking about the comments that
also,
he's made.
Just on the golf, briefly, sorry, Pete, sure shot this is next few minutes, but Rory McIlroy talking about a big bust-up with his management company again, and is his mind on the golf? It looks like he might be leaving. He said, no, I can separate these things. So clearly there's a problem now.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is another thing that's been going on for a little while, isn't it? I mean, he's changed his clubs, and there were sort of rumours that he wasn't very happy with those. He's not world number one anymore, of course. Tiger Woods has taken that on again. So, I mean, I suspect one or two sort of teething troubles. Don't forget, he's still a very young man, Rory McIlroy. And he got to the top very, very quickly. I think he's found it more difficult staying at the top than he did getting there in the first place.
His dad's taken over. I think he's going to sort of manage his situation, his financial situation now, and get involved. His father, but Lathbell and Woods, they need to make up, don't they, for the good of the game? I think
Garcia.
Garcia and Tiger Woods. They just need to make up for the good of the game for me.
They do, and for themselves as well, because as I say, I mean,
get it sorted.
This has certainly affected Garcia's game, and he was playing pretty well up to that point, and he would have been a contender for a lot of the majors. You would have thought this year. So I mean, he needs to try and find that sort of form back, and if he's thinking about Tiger when he's taking a shot, he's not going to do that.
First day of practice, Monaco Grand Prix as well. Yeah, Formula One man, Pete.
Not particularly, no.
I thought rock concerts and Formula One goes together.
Did it? Okay, I'll take your word for that. I do like Monaco, actually. I mean, if there is one Grand Prix that I will watch, it is Monaco. I just think it's the whole thing, the whole setting. The circuit is fantastic. And so yes, on Sunday afternoon I shall be watching that.
Brilliant. Right, lots to come. Paul Lambert as well, talking about his own Dortmund, of course. Gotsia, what's his name? Mario Gotsia out. He will not play at corner. We touched on it yesterday, that if you tweak your hamstring for a big game, and of course he's going to Bayern Munich for next season. So I don't know. Maybe he's relieved. Maybe he's gutted. I can't get my head around this one. Would you want to play against Bayern and score the winner in a Champions League and then next year
turn up for pre-season training
and hopefully the fans will take you? I don't know. Maybe it is a good shout. 6:34 now this afternoon. Hawksman Jacobs will be talking to Wigan Warriors Man of Steel Sam Tompkins about the up-and-coming Magic Weekend and giving you a chance to win 4 tickets to this fantastic sporting event, all courtesy of Heinz Big Soup, official partner of the Super League. Man of Steel is a tough game, that is. I was talking to someone the other day, Ronnie, about when I was down in Wollongong. It was the Illawarra Steelers, and they were the rugby league boys over there. And I tell you what, they are. I watched a couple of games, and there's no prisoners there. There's
Warriors, Alan. Absolute warriors, aren't they? I mean, we were watching, we were in the pub the other day, Let's look at them, the fitness and the way they're chiselled, aren't they? But I love it up there. I used to, as a kid, in the Northwest, watching Wigan Warriors. Well, it was just Wigan in the old days, and I think it's a great game. I really do, rugby league. I don't mind Union. Obviously, we talk about Union and we go to games, but I was brought up.
Well, we
with
looked at the
league.
Lions training, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we looked at what the sort of physical shape they're in.
Unbelievable. Now, a big change, isn't there? Been a big change on the way. Rugby guys have work out and I mean, listen, they were fit in the old days, but they seem to be more chiselled these days. I don't know.
Right, Bale the real deal, and others. City's Pele warning. The hot favourite for the City job, Manuel Pellegrini, announced he will be leaving his post at Malaga at the end of the season. I believe bringing his coaching staff as well. Sparking rumours he could be taken over at the Etihad as early as next week. Let's head down to beautiful Marbella. John is now a man who knows Pellegrini well, our Spanish football correspondent, Paul Breen-Turner. PBT, morning.
Morning, Paul.
Yeah, Ronnie, Alan, good morning.
What's the very latest? Do you think he will bring his whole coaching staff with him, Paul? The bookies won't take any more bets on at City. Will he bring his own team?
I think he will. He's got a good unit. He's got a good relationship with all of his team. And the fact that they've announced straight away that they're all leaving suggests that they're all just going to go as one unit. Otherwise, some of the other fellows would have stayed and said, well, I'm going to wait. But they've all said, no, we're off. So I don't think he'll be looking for anybody else. I think, which is good news for Man City. I think he's going to arrive. Everybody in position, they all know their jobs, they all know what they have to do. They've worked together brilliantly in the last season as one unit. So, no, I think the complete package is going to be arriving in England as it is here.
What about players? Isco, we think he'll be coming?
Do you know what? His dad, who is also part of his representative team, was in Madrid yesterday at the Bernabeu. And the club have already said that Isco is a Malaga player, and he will only leave for the good of the club and for the good of Isco. Basically, you ain't going to get him on the cheap. And we spoke about this on the Breakfast Show last week, because City were kind of thinking Malaga's a team in trouble, so we'll just try and get him on the cheap. You ain't gonna, if you're going to muck around, you're going to lose this kid. And that would be stupidity. He's a fantastic talent. And there are not many players around the world 20 years old who play like this guy. So I'll tell you, here's a message to the Manchester City fans and to the representatives. Do not muck around. This guy is available. Don't lose him. You'll regret it for a long, long time. He will go to another big side unless you make that move now.
Paul, to those who would say about Pellegrini, well, what happened? He was at Real Madrid, he had loads of money. What did he do? What's his CV? What would you say to them, Paul?
I would say that when he was at Madrid, he didn't have a say in a single signing, and that was the biggest problem that he had there. He wants to be in control of any money spent, because he said after the situation there, Ronnie, he said, you know what, Madrid bought players, but I didn't have a say in any of it. I didn't get players in the positions that I wanted. And it seems that he has been communicating with Manchester City for as far back as 3 weeks ago in regard to new arrivals in the different positions, and it sounds like he's very, very happy with that, and we're already hearing Isco. I'll be surprised if Isco goes to Madrid, to be honest, because, Pellegrini is here on the Costa del Sol, and he's with Isco every single day. So I'd be amazed with him being so close that he's going to let him escape. Yeah. We're also hearing Jesus Navas. Al, I know you like this guy from Seville.
I do.
A Spanish international. If he comes with him as well. And the other thing City fans may want to consider, Manuel speaks Spanish, of course, and Tevez hasn't really learned English, so there's a wobble there. Is Tevez going to go? Speaking his native tongue, I think Manuel will perhaps be able to get Carlos to stay as well. But I can see him building a formidable side,
38 games, Paul. He won 31 of them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that much of a disaster.
Right.
And as we mentioned, Barcelona at the time were probably the best team that we've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the only reason, please don't forget this, is the only reason Pellegrini got sacked by Madrid was Mourinho just happened to become available at that particular time, and Madrid felt they couldn't lose the opportunity. So even though Pellegrini had got record points in that season at Madrid, it was just the fact that Mourinho was available that they just thought, you know what, we've got to take advantage of this.
Paul, what's his, I don't know if you can answer this, man management skills? Is this man the type of manager, coach that gets the best, even of maybe one or two tricky characters, who can be a bit volatile off and on the pitch? Is he renowned for being a nice guy, arm round people and getting the best out of them?
Very quiet, unruffled sort of character. My only concern, and I've mentioned this on the show before, is I hope he's not going to be another Juan de Ramos. And it's going to be, I think Manuel speaks better English than Juan de Ramos ever did. So this is the first time, to my knowledge, that he's going to be managing in a different language. He's always been able to do it all in Spanish. So he's going to have to now translate that into English language. And I just wonder where that's going to go. It didn't really work. A lot of people felt that the language barrier was a problem for Juan de Ramos when he arrived at Tottenham. And in regard to the big egos, well, Manuel, he's just such a serious person, and he expects people to behave in a business-like and an adult-like way. In regard to egos, he only had one small situation now in Malaga, and the guy ended up upon leaving the club. So he can't do that with some of the big names at Man City. But I'll be surprised if it doesn't work out for him.
Paul, I've just got to be brief here. Anything in the papers today, Marca, and about Bale and Real Madrid?
Well, that's been massive all week. I mean, we're hearing that PSG are now going to be losing Ancelotti, and he's going to be the next manager, and he's made it very clear that Bale is one of the big targets. And in a survey here yesterday evening, 95% of Madrid fans said Bale must join the club. He is the number one target. I'll be surprised if he doesn't.
Nice one, Paul. Thank you. Paul Breen-Turner down there on the Costa del Sol. I'm pretty certain looking out the window will be nicer down there than it is here again. But that's interesting. Ancelotti, a big admirer of Gareth Bale. 6:41.
Still to come on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
He's kind of been labelled as just this big store dog up front that you just bash balls to. I think Andy Carroll's got a lot more to his game than that. He's only 24. He's still learning his trade. I feel bad for him. I mean, to the outside world, it looks like, well, if you want to just lump it forward, then sign Andy Carroll.
Hey, what? He's losing his accent. That's former Liverpool defender Stevie Nicol. He's been in America too long. Discussing Andy Carroll after West Ham agreed a £15 million fee for the England man. Meanwhile, Cal Froch insists he's out for revenge when he takes on Mikel Kessler at the O2 Saturday night.
I'm not going to let this guy beat me again, but I know it's going to be very, very tough. It's going to be brutal. It could even be, quite vicious and barbaric. But the both of us are in there to do a job. We're both real tough, strong warriors.
Top boxing promoter Eddie Hearn joins us in the studio to look ahead to Britain's biggest fight in recent years. I think Eddie's been quoted as saying, I can't plan for future fights because this is going to be a war. Now, what about Crystal Palace? Crystal Palace striker Kevin Phillips previews Monday's Championship playoff final, of course, against Watford. What a match that's going to be Monday at Wembley. Brilliant. 6:42.
Plus, Ronnie gives Alan a head massage just before the 9 o'clock bulletin.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with the all-new Ford Ranger. Advanced ESP with 3-mode traction control system to tame any terrain.
13 minutes to 7 o'clock. talkSPORT and Sky Sports are giving away VIP passes to celebrate the UK launch of Zone Golf this Bank Holiday Monday.
Yeah, listen to Hawksby and Jacobs this afternoon from 1, you can be there to see the likes of Ian Poulter, Justin Rolls, Sir Steve Redgrave and Tin Henman battling out in golf's revolutionary new format. This is brilliant. For more information and tickets, you can go to www.zonegolfthegame.com. That's www.zonegolfthegame.com.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast Action Replay on talkSPORT with the all-new Ford Transit Custom International Van of the Year 2013.
12 minutes to 7 o'clock, so Pellegrini on his way to Manchester City, and as Chelsea get ready to welcome back Jose. It was interesting yesterday, former Real Madrid president, Mr. Calderon, he joined Keys and Gray in the studio yesterday and spoke to him about Jose Mourinho.
He pushes his players to see the rivals like enemies. I think that's a mistake, always. And that's why all the players now in Real Madrid are quarreling, fighting with him. But saying that, I know that some people in Spain like him also, like the way he behaved. I don't. I have to say that in Real Madrid, the worst record is the one he's got.
It's interesting, isn't it? You got to ask him and say, well, you must have done your homework before you offered him the job.
Yeah.
You know, he's not suddenly just changed into a monster, a demon that, you know, winds people up, has he? He's always been like that, Ronnie.
Yeah, he has.
Always been like that.
But, like I say, he's a winner.
He's a serial winner.
He'll bring success, you know, if he was to sign up and be at Stamford Bridge. But it won't last, will it, Al? He's not going to be there for 10 years.
I don't know. I really don't know. It depends
he
what they win.
He hasn't done in the past.
No, it depends what they win. You know, who knows?
But history tells you eventually it goes pear-shaped. But the time is there. It's unbelievable. You know, you win, you're successful. The fans love him as well at Stamford Bridge, so that's no problem at all. He'll just walk straight in there. And it'll be a great relationship between him and the fans. It's just that there will be a fallout at some stage. Just a case of whether it be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. At some stage, he's going to move on again because that is his style. Unless he gets older, he mellows. I don't know, I doubt it. But at this moment in time, you'd expect him to be at Chelsea maybe for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Right. Okay. 10 minutes to 7 o'clock. Let's say a very good morning. I said earlier, and I hope I'm not being too negative, but I just don't like the racing headlines at the moment. As we build up to the Oaks and the Derby, I think the timing's all wrong. Let me say a very, very good morning to Channel 4 racing presenter Emma Spencer. Emma, good morning.
Morning, Emma.
Good morning, how are you?
Emma, I'm just a bit down, to be honest. 10-year ban for a hen. We've got Frankie on there. Couldn't they just waited to after the Derby before this hearing? You know, it's all negative at the moment for racing.
It is negative, yeah, but, you know, you've got to remember that these cases have been going on for quite a long time and their findings have come to a head now. So, yeah, as you said, it's unfortunate timings. It's sort of hogging the headlines at the moment and making racing quite negative, but, you know, it's time to move on. The BH they're doing their job and they've got to act accordingly, haven't they?
Yeah, Emma, just well, again, it's probably a bit negative, sorry. I was just watching just a few seconds ago, Telescope, his gallop down at Lingfield, and it wasn't impressive. It just looked as if the horse, he never settled, and he, you know, normally just come away from his two work companions, but struggled.
He didn't, did he? I mean, you know, visually he's a horse that apparently has been impressing on the gallops at Newmarket, and they said, you know, they were obviously disappointed by yesterday because he didn't show what he's been showing. He's been the subject of a lot of hype for a long, long time, ever since he won his maiden. You'd have to think now that off the back of that, they'd have reservations about going straight for the Derby. It's a big enough ask in itself, the fact he's only won a maiden.
Yeah.
But listen, he's in the hands of a genius, Sir Michael Stout, and we'll see. I think it'll probably hinge on a gallop that'll take place at the weekend. But no, they'll have been, you know, undoubtedly disappointed by that.
And Emma, we're reading about Frankie, where you mentioned the Derby. Dettoria's not given up on Derby.
No, I mean, you know, it must be frustrating for him. He's sat on the sidelines for 6 months, and, you know, D-Day when you're all sort of built up and ready to get back on the track, and you know, and it's another knockback. And at the moment, it's, you know, it's clearly in the hands of the French authorities. It lies with the medical committee. And obviously, till that's passed, he can't ride here. But it sounds like he hasn't given up hope of having a ride in the Derby. You know, reading the Racing Post today, it sounds like he's got a couple of options. I don't think there are going to be too many runners in the Derby this year, actually.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Aidan O'Brien, the French, the German, against on approach, to be honest. Yeah. What about Emma now? You're on your way to Breakfast with the Stars. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah,
I've just actually got to Epsom now. I've never been before, but it's something they do often around the world, Hong Kong, Dubai, all sorts of places. And it's a chance for, you know, people to, and the media really, to come and chat to the likes of the German trainer, Andreas Wöhler. Andre Farb's going to be here to talk about Okavandir. And a couple of horses, you know, to see them on the track and probably give them a little bit of experience of the undulations of the course. So No, I think it'll be quite good fun, and hopefully we'll learn a bit more.
Brilliant. Emma, have a great day today. Thank you very much for joining us. Emma Spencer there, Channel 4, on our way down to Breakfast with the Stars. They were going to take Telescope down there, but decided, no, we'll go to Lingfield, and we'll come down that hill left,
What would you do, Al, if you're on Telescope? If you're Fergie?
The problem is the horse, you've got to make a judgment here. He struggled yesterday, in my opinion. Look, Fergie's got a share in this, and Sir Alex was there. He was having a great time down at Lingfield by all accounts, but he'd have been bitterly disappointed, because the Derby's the big one, Ronnie. There's only one Derby, it's a 3-year-old, that's it. And that I looked at it and thought, I can't believe it. They were just hoping. But look, sometimes he's not been on a racecourse for a while. They'll probably know a little bit more. He'll go back to Newmarket on the gallops, which he knows. He's out there most mornings. He'll know, he'll feel more comfortable, and he might just show that little bit of sparkle that'll enable him to say, okay, we'll take a chance. If he doesn't show sparkle and he works again like yesterday, he won't run the Derby. You've got to look after the horse. And he can't talk to you and tell you. You just got to look at him and you say, no, he's not quite right. Because to win a Derby, you've got to be 100%.
Yep. Okay,
thank you, Emma. Now, if you're going racing today, Goodwood, good. Going is good at Goodwood. Haydock Park, good to firm in places. Wetherby, good to soft in places in the backstretch. And Salisbury, good to firm, good in places. Sandown Park is beautiful. Sandown Park, good to firm in places.
I want to apologise to Tiger and anybody that I could have offended by the comment I made, and I feel sick about it.
Yeah, Sergio Garcia, the Telegraph Sport front page. Backlash, Woods brands Garcia racist. Jibe, hurtful and wrong. Sponsors could walk away. Racist taunt at Woods could cost Garcia millions. The Latabal, they must make up for the good of the game. Crikey.
Strong
What's
stuff.
going on here?
Yeah, I mean, will he ever escape this slur, really? It's disappointing.
I'll say again, Ronnie, just, he's Spanish. He's using another language, English. Don't get me wrong, he speaks English great, but I don't think I swear to you, I don't think Garcia meant that as a racist jibe. I really don't.
No. What's, like I say, it was at the dinner he came out with him, and Tiger Woods. There's no love lost between the two of them, is there? And he's taken it the wrong way to Tiger initially, and like I say, for the good of the game and for themselves, they've got to try and make up.
I think Tiger could make some. Look, people love Tiger Woods, but I think he'd even more. Be more lovable if he was to go up with Garcia. I know you didn't mean it that way. No problem. Let's shake. And I think that'd be brilliant if he did that. Sergio's stupid for what he said, but I don't think it was as bad, and I don't think he meant what you could make it into.
Silly remark, to be honest. And like I say, he's apologised. He's done what he possibly can do, having made the remark and done what he's done. But sadly, he won't escape this, this slur. I think
he's got to go on American TV, sharpish, and really make a, from the heart apology, because or else forget the US Open.
Yeah, don't turn up.
Right, still to come, the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast this morning. We're going to be joined in the studio by the top boxing promoter Eddie Hearn and German football expert Ralf Honigstein. All that and much, much more. Zola's knees just went there. Good morning, 4 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good morning and welcome. Roberto Martinez's future at Wigan is set to be decided later today after the Spaniard held talks with Chairman Dave Whelan. Whelan spoke to talkSPORT and said he hoped he would carry on with the FA Cup winners.
My gut feeling, just talking to him, is that he will stay. But that's not definite. And, Roberto is such an honest man, and he came over absolutely clearly and said, I want another 24 hours to think about it.
There you go, Dave Whelan there. Meanwhile, Manuel Pellegrini's move to Man City edged a little closer last night as the Chilean confirmed he will leave Malaga at the end of the season. City midfielder Sami Nasri, he told Sky Sports News that Pellegrini is the perfect choice to replace Roberto Mancini.
I think he's a great manager. He proved himself in Villarreal, in Real Madrid as well, even if he didn't win the title, but he finished with 96 points the season. You pay ticket to go to football to see something great, and he's the kind of manager who can do it.
Manchester City fans, are you convinced that Pellegrini is the right man to take the club forward? And Wigan fans, how critical now is you keep hold of Roberto Martinez? Call us 08717 223344, text 81089, or email us through the website talksport.co.uk. Good morning and welcome to the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT.
Whelan optimistic Martinez will stay, and Stokai Di Matteo to replace Pulis is another one in the papers today. Right, Matt Scott is going to review the newspapers. Morning, Matt.
Morning, Matt. Very good morning. How are you?
I don't know where to start, Matt, after yesterday. It's just catastrophic what's going on. It's horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is one of those days where everybody's walking around in shock, aren't they? The same pictures all over the front pages of every newspaper, and it does make you think about everything in the back page being completely irrelevant, really, because we should all be thinking about the victim and his family. Just shocking.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
In the future.
I know, yeah, what happens now?
Sports headlines then, Matt. Let's get stuck in.
Well, the back pages of the Guardian, the Telegraph, and the Mail all go with the Garcia comments. Guardian comes up with an interesting line. Obviously, this all centres around the words fried chicken and the what Ewan Murray refers to as the food items have been historically and pejoratively used towards African Americans. Obviously, there are racist connotations to these words, and Ewan points out that 16 years ago. Fuzzy Zerler was in the midst of a similar furore, he says, for using an almost identical analogy when being disparaging towards Tiger Woods. When discussing his maiden major win and the choice of menu of the following year's Champions Dinner, Zerler said you pat him on the back and say congratulations and enjoy it and tell him not to serve fried chicken next year, got it? Or collard greens, or whatever the hell they serve. I mean, it's just despicable things to be saying.
He said that, Fuzzy Zerler,
yeah,
didn't he?
That's something that the Guardian has pointed out in their back page story this morning. But there are very real questions. Given that Garcia, as it's pointed out by the Daily Mail this morning and the Telegraph, James Corrigan does some very, very interesting writing this morning in the Telegraph. He's their golf correspondent, brilliant writer. He refers to how TaylorMade Adidas, which is his main backer, has put out a statement saying that it was offensive and in no way aligns with TaylorMade Adidas Golf's values and corporate culture. And this is claimed that this is worth £5.3 million to Garcia, and obviously that's in jeopardy at the moment. Omega were less forthcoming yesterday, although it's understood that they're also likely to launch a review. So this could cost him heavily in the pocket, which is what the Daily Mail is pointing to this morning, with Derek Lawrenson's piece, which is the splash as well. They've given over the two-page inside spread on it also. Derek Lawrenson pointing out, he's their golf correspondent, that Garcia insists he's sorry, but he will never escape this race slur. And there's a really troubling angle to this, which is what Jamie Corrigan points out in his comment piece in the Telegraph. He's saying that golfers are routinely hit with £5,000 sanctions for throwing clubs around, but throw a racist jibe across a room containing 300 guests, causing offence on a much wider level, and all the professional has to do is to apologise and appear contrite. And golf wonders about its reputation.
And this is all over. Sergio playing a shot on his backswing, and you could hear clatter as Woods pulled the club out of his bag.
Yeah.
Now, we shouldn't forget why they're arguing, and, you know...
They've had a bit of a tiff for a while, haven't they?
But, dear oh dear, to besmirch the name of golf in this way...
Yeah, but some people might not know that, Matt. That's what I'm pointing out. Some people might be listening and say, why has he done that?
Yeah,
I
mean, sports need to look at their own values. And, one of the things that golf has always been accused of, which is definitely a negative, is its stuffiness. The fact that women are not allowed, elitism, women not allowed in the clubhouses. This sort of ancient antediluvian attitudes towards society, and the fact that a black man became the most successful golfer in history, or certainly, he's on a trajectory to be to overtake Greg Norman, and possibly the most talented golfer ever. He was great box office for golf, and it's why he became such a figurehead for Nike. Why he became such a wealthy
Jack Nicklaus,
man.
You meant.
Sorry, Jack Nicklaus. Beg your pardon. So these are things that golf needs to look at, and you look at racing, banning Eddie Ahern yesterday for 10 years because it recognises that corruption is a massive threat to the sport. Golf needs to take a look at itself, as Jamie points out this morning. But you're right, Alan, and we get Jose Maria Olazabal also in the Telegraph being interviewed by Jim White, and he points out, the two guys were friends. It started nicely, they were friends, I remember, together on the practice greens, but it seems to have cooled. Now this is not good. They need to sort this out for the good of the game.
Absolutely. Agreed. Right, what else we got, mate?
Well, talking of ill-advised comments, what was Carl Froch thinking yesterday when he referred to Mikkel Kessler as saying, I want to kill him? Never mind all this stuff about being pals. I want to put him out of the game. If I have to kill him to keep my title, then I will. In fact, the way I feel now, I want to do him serious damage. Yes, kill him. I mean, this is just, again, look at the values of a sport. This is seen in some quarters, I don't agree, but as barbarism, as something that has no place.
Carl losing the plot because he's had a go at Groves and he's had a go at Cleverley, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Incidentally, he's on with Goffey and Adrian later on about, why would you help him in my battle with him? Why would you help him and spar with him? You traitors. That was just a few days ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. That it is puzzling why they would do that. That is a great act of disloyalty. But because apparently they were barrelling on quite well together as sparring partners, according to Pat Sheen on talkSPORT last night. But Kessler has previously said that he's had problems with an eye injury that he sustained in his last bout with Carl Froch. And he's saying here, if Froch goes on, if I see the slightest sign of weakness, I will go for it. He says, the last time I felt this motivated and driven was before the fight with Lucien Butte, in which I became a 3-time world champion, and everyone knows what I did to him. It looks like I may have ended his career. He's wearing this as a badge of honour, and I'm afraid, Carl, people like you, people are supporting you, but comments like this, if you do damage to Mikkel Kessler, how regrettable is it what you have said there? Boxing needs to stand down.
That's a difficult one. I know where you're coming from, right, but I also know where Froch is coming from as well. And forgive me here, because when he steps in the ring, he could get seriously hurt as well, Froch. And he's just building himself up so that when he steps through those ropes, he feels invincible.
Well, to come out without.
Oh no, it's not right. It's not. No, it's certainly not right.
Who've had serious damage, brain damage, Alan.
And been killed.
Yeah, it's the wrong language.
Yeah, but don't forget, we have let killers come out of jail and back in the boxing ring. So. We're as bad as them, probably.
Well, boxing needs to look at that kind of thing. It needs to consider, is this right for our sport? The whole point about these pre-match things is, and there has been a lot of drama and sometimes theatre and sometimes choreography around these kind of things. Where staged fights go on. To try and build the fight up. Well,
it's all about box office. It's about. I can't wait for the fight, me. It's not going to put me off.
But nor does it build it up. I mean, it's a great fight. It doesn't need those comments to build it up. Therefore, they are completely unnecessary and absolutely very untasteful, distasteful to my mind. I think that the boxing authorities need to stand out with this kind of thing.
Chisora Hay, brawling, bottle in the hand.
Yeah.
What happened? It was a sellout, wasn't it?
Of course.
Once the bell goes, they're professionals.
But this would be a sellout anyway. This would be a sellout.
Stop being an old woman.
Did you watch that fight? Oh.
Yeah, I did. 14 after 7. Matt Scott's here reviewing the papers. Matt, what else we got, mate?
Well, look, I've got to say, if anybody this morning is thinking of buying only one newspaper on the way into work, make it the Daily Mirror. It is absolutely bejewelled with fabulous sports stories, this time of year stories, transfers. The back page splash being Torres takes a nap. There's talk about how the Chelsea flop, I think we can call him that, over the course of his £50 million spell at Chelsea. Though they've won a lot of trophies with him there during his time there, but he hasn't exactly set the world alight with his football. Torres takes a nap. Striker wanted by Italians, with Rafa Benitez as his new manager. This is a James Nursey Football Spy exclusive on the back page of the Mirror. It says that the Serie A club Napoli held successful talks with Chelsea's interim manager Rafa Benitez in London before he flew with his squad to America for 2 post-season friendlies with Manchester City, and that they also want to take Fernando Torres off Chelsea's hands for to sort of what he refers to in a typical Mirror style as being a dream team. Also in the Mirror on the back page here, £100 million for Wayne Rooney. This is a story that's picked up in the Express as well as their splash. saying that, and it's Crossy who's written it, friend of the show obviously, big spending Paris Saint-Germain are planning to a £100 million deal to land Wayne Rooney. The Manchester United striker has emerged as the French club's #1 target. And not only will they pay that money to buy him, apparently they're going to give him £15 million a year after tax. And
he's going to be off, isn't he?
Well,
did I not read also Ronaldo as well, and Rooney?
Well, there's talk of that. I mean, they would fund it because it looks like Zlatan Ibrahimovic would be going back to Italy. He hasn't exactly settled in France, although those terrible pitches aren't the best thing for Zlat. So, yeah, I mean, there's talk about them going in for Ronaldo, although Manchester United do appear also to be very much in the box seat.
What does financial fair play come into this, Matt?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, there's no way that they can meet that because if they're giving him £15 million a year net after tax, there will be a 75% tax bill at some point imposed over the course of the contract, because that's being introduced in France by the socialist administration there, and it's going to be, well, add it all up, that's £40 million a year. There's absolutely no way that a club of PSG's size is going to be earning that. Absolutely no way. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and people will always point it out, and if people aren't aware of this yet, then they certainly will be. PSG's general manager PSG belong to the Qataris, and the general manager of the Qatar Investment Authority's football fund is a gentleman called Laurent Platini, who is, of course, the son of Michel Platini, the chairman of or the president of UEFA. So this thing will be mentioned many times in future. So if where does financial fair play come into that little family relationship? Your guess is as good as mine, Ron.
Classic.
But I mean, this is a great paper, the Mirror, today.
Yeah, what else you got?
Well, it's brilliant. I mean, there's another mention of James Nursey again, because he's got an excellent piece on how Scott Sinclair had a rib removed following a blood clot to his shoulder. And then what I really like about the paper today is such an old school one. You turn on the inside, and what's the spread? They're going really big on the Championship playoff final. Playoff final between Crystal Palace and Watford at Wembley.
Sellouts.
Yeah, it's a sellout. It's a £110 million riding on the match, and 4 days away from the game. They're focusing on Kevin Phillips and how he could
coming on later for Kevin.
Is he?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you know, what a career he's had. The many clubs of Kevin is something that a little inset into Mike Walters' piece, and it talks about how, you know, the goals he scored over the course of his career. He got, when he was at West Brom, he was only there from 2006 to 2008. He got 46 goals in 82 games. They let him go for a free transfer. Remarkable. When he was at Sunderland, 134 and 239. You know, what an unbelievable career this 40-year-old man has had. So, you know, I really like that spread.
What about Vermaelen and the Sun? Yeah. 5 million Vermaelen can go.
Yes, club captain of Arsenal, and according to Charlie Wyatt, who's got this exclusively, Arsenal prepared to take £5 million bids for the Belgian international. He never really was. He wanted to be Arsenal's centre half and captain, the Tony Adams figure, but it was never going to work, because he isn't naturally a centre half in the Belgium team. There are Kompany and Vertonghen ahead of him. He's shuffled out to left back for that team. So, you know, he's off. I mean, it would seem to me. I mean, it certainly where I sit at the Emirates, he is not very widely respected by the fans there, because you've got a very good crow's eye view of crow's nest view.
There's been a big change there, because was it a couple of years ago? He had a couple of good seasons.
Yeah, well, he's tough tackling and he recovers well because he's got pace, but he's just not. His positioning isn't right. He doesn't know how to read the game, and it lets people go. And this is why Koscielny kept getting sent off in his first season. He's a player I've got huge amounts of admiration for. I think he's a fabulous centre-half. But he kept getting sent off because everybody kept playing people on side. Him and Schillaci were disaster partners for Koscielny, unfortunately. But Arsenal looking apparently at £12 million rated Ashley Williams, and obviously Per Mertesacker has very much established himself.
Williams is old-fashioned centre-half, isn't he? Good player.
Yeah.
What do you make of Sergio Ramos then today in the papers talking about come and join us, Gareth?
Well, it's interesting because this is the splash for the Sun, and quotes leading a newspaper are not the sort of thing that the Sun would want to be doing when they're looking at their news list at 5 p.m. They'd want to have something hard news to run on, but they've gone on the Gareth Bale quotes, which are Sergio Ramos, as you say, saying, "I'm sure Madrid will not be the only team that want to sign him, but he is the right mould for us," says the Spanish star, talking about a £60 million switch. There's also quotes in there from Calderón, the former chairman of Real Madrid, in which he says that should they pay £80 million for Bale? Well, if you have it, why not? Money is better on the field than in the bank. But in this same story, they do pour a little bit of cold water on their own splash by using the quotes that Gareth Bale said recently after the season ended, in which he said it would be normally enough for us. The 72 points is a great record for us. That would normally be enough to qualify for the Champions League. We will have to regroup and give it another go, he says. So you wonder whether or not that's something.
Mr. Calderon on with Andy and Richard yesterday. Another one, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this one, Matt. This is in the Mail. We touched on this yesterday, Ronnie. Tim Sherwood, we talked maybe Blackburn Rovers were interested in Tim. Tim doing a great job with the Tottenham kids. Well, the headline here is Brighton chased Tim Sherwood. Well, Gus Poyet leaves. Yeah, well, there's obviously been there's a very frosty relationship now between Gus Poyet and his club. He knows that he's a man in demand. Brighton aren't very happy about the fact that he's looking around himself for potential opportunities, and you can understand why Tim Sherwood would be towards the top of people's considerations.
I think it'd be a great signing. I mean, if it was a flip of a coin between Blackburn Rovers and Brighton, Al, Matt, what would you do if it was your decision?
Well, I think you got to go Brighton, quite simply because the owners. And Brighton have got a new stadium. They've got, enthusiastic owners as well. So I think it's a no-brainer. It's Brighton. I think it would be a fool's errand to go to Blackburn because he is a legend there. Obviously, captained them to winning the league in 1995, and he's, if he goes back, he's on hiding to nothing. Really, he can only hurt his own reputation if it goes wrong, and he's not getting the. So you don't want Jose to go back then?
Well, they do say never go back. I mean, I spoke to Gordon Strachan, and even when talking, I've asked him, because at the time he was one of the hottest managerial properties in the Premier League.
That's Gary Johnson. He'll say, "Well, I enjoyed it. You've been good. You can go back and do well." Yeah, but that's true.
Boy down at Bournemouth, Eddie Howe.
Yeah, so there is a few. You
know. But some people are associated with the football club.
Just a quick one then. Go on. City fans, where's Gilo? He needs cheering up. This is the real Pellegrini, is the headline in the Mail. Yeah. He may get results, but he plays tennis and golf rather than study opponents. So Mere Golf and Country Club, you'll have a new member soon. Well, you've got to wonder, because apparently, I mean, there's a big piece in the Sun also. Martin Blackburn in New York has spoken to Zabaleta over at Manchester City. And he says that I was in the second team when he was manager at Malaga. Well, you can't pick a player because I'll tell you something, Zabaleta can play. But so he's saying here, he's pointing out that he's a very quiet person, but he also likes to play attractive football, and his record in Europe is great. And it is unimpeachable, to be fair. He was only Jens Lehmann saved penalty away from the final of the Champions League with Villarreal, which would have been an incredible achievement, and he did. He's done very well in Europe with Malaga as well, no question. With a club that's in tatters off the pitch, he's done tremendously well for that club as well. So you can understand why Manchester City would consider him a good person to go for. I'm talking about Europe as well, of course. Very brief, Matt, because we're out of time, mate. Go on. Sorry, just Paul Lambert is talking about his time at Dortmund. Loved it. Which he did. He loved Grew it there. Up like that. Absolutely. Matt, brilliant. It's a big weekend coming up, isn't it? With Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Palace against Watford, Monaco Grand Prix and Froch Kessler, just to name but a few. Okay, I just want to say what a wonderful time I've had with Ronnie over the years of doing this with him. He's a fabulous broadcaster, and I understand we're not going to be having Ronnie in anymore. But that's a real shame for me. Thank you.
What a top guy you are. Nice to say.
Nice one, Matt. 7:30 on talkSPORT. Good morning, 7:32. Our thanks to Matt Scott there. Still to come in the Sports Breakfast this morning. We're joined in the studio by the top boxing promoter Eddie Hearn, German football expert Ralph Honigstein, plus we're hearing from former England striker Dean Ashton as well. 1 o'clock, Paul Hawksby, Andy Jacobs are joined by the New Zealand cricket captain Brendan McCullum. And at 4 o'clock, Adrian and Goffey are joined by the WBO light heavyweight champion Nathan Cleverley. 25 minutes to 8 o'clock on talkSPORT. Right, New Zealand wicketkeeper BJ Watling has been ruled out tomorrow's second test against England, of course, up at Headingley. Let's speak to former New Zealand test bowler Ian O'Brien. Ian, a very, very good morning, Ian.
Morning, Alan.
Now, what about this? Is how much of a blow is this, Ian, that he's been ruled out tomorrow's second test? The wicketkeeper, is this massive bad news for the Kiwis?
It's not the baddest of bad news.
Yeah.
Look, Guptill's a very, very decent replacement. He hasn't had the best of it just recently, but in terms of batting ability, I would probably put Guptill above Watling. It does mean that Brendan has to take the gloves, and that'll have effects on his batting, McCullum, that is, and captaincy. But I don't think it's the worst thing. It's certainly not perfect, because Watling has been playing very well, and he has been scoring some good runs as well.
Ian, what do you see England vulnerable when it comes to, coming up against them? What would you sort of highlight that as a cricketer?
Sorry, say that again, mate.
What do you see England being vulnerable?
Vulnerable at the moment. A little bit fragile with the batting, I guess, against good bowling attacks, and I think that's what we've seen New Zealand been able to do over the last 4 test matches.
Yeah, would you get into them? I mean, you're always up for it as a cricketer. I read a report saying that sledging can rattle England. Is that the way forward?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that's a massive part of the game anymore. I think that's I think it's left for the funny guys now to try and break a smile out of a few people's faces. I think there's still a place for a nasty word here and there. But I don't think, because of all the camera coverage and how close they can get and how well people can lip read, I don't think there's a big prize on sledging people out anymore.
Yeah, those days seem to be gone. The old Dennis Lilly charging in and giving it some with the big headband and.
Didn't mind the words.
Merv Hughes, God, I remember Merv giving me heaps one game. God, he was great off the field though, but on it, you thought he was an absolute animal.
Ian, what about Vittori? Will he come back if he's past fit?
Well, this is the big one, isn't it? I've been trying to get the exclusive for you, and I can't get anything out of it. I'm locked down tight, and it's but by all accounts, he could be playing. Just by trying to do my research, reading articles and trying to read in between the lines as to how he's being used in the nets and how he's trained, it would appear that he's playing, which isn't the worst thing. The New Zealand media are sort of not quite hailing it as the second returning, but they seem quite positive about it, which is a little bit awkward, because the last time he played, they were complaining about him not taking wickets. So it's so build him up, knock him down, maybe.
Yeah. What about? Obviously, you must have been shocked and surprised the way New Zealand collapsed in that last innings.
How good was Broad? Yeah. I think that's the big. But yeah, it's frustrating when New Zealand we have a bad hour and we lose a test match literally. But Broad was immense. He was 5 miles an hour quicker than anyone else in that test match in that spell. His lengths were phenomenal. He got the ball to talk. It was, for me, it was really down to his quality. And when he gets that right, which is maybe 1 in 6, 1 in 7 tests, he's world's best, one of the world's best.
I've not seen a batting display like that, i.e. rabbit in the headlights. I think since Curtly Ambrose was steaming in Antigua. I mean, they were kind of going for it and thought, listen, we've just got to hit our way out of this, and it just was never to be.
There was absolutely, and I think they were undone by his pace for a start as well. We saw Fulton and Ross Taylor both, have the little hand nibbles outside off. The feet don't go and only the hands go, and that's a result of pace. We saw a couple of beauty balls, and Rutherford got his second unplayable delivery in the test match. And when you're 3 for not many, chasing 240 is a long way down. And I think from there, yes, they thought they had to swing themselves out of a hole. And I don't think I disagree with that either. But it was high quality bowling.
Just finally from me, listen, you're a proud Kiwi, but if you're balancing between England and Australia, what would you say? Who would edge it for you at the moment, Ian?
Well, England always edge that one at the moment, just on the quality of the all-round ability in the team. I think KP. I think if Peterson comes back, you're all over it. I think he's huge in terms of confidence in the group. Your bowling attack's rock solid. You got second best bowling attack for me in the world behind South Africa, but you've got the best spin bowler. So I think you're rock solid there, and you'll take down some of the younger and more inexperienced Australian batsmen. But it's still going to be one of those really good series of cricket, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Ian, we look forward to it. Thank you for joining us, Ian. Brilliant. Ian O'Brien, former New Zealand cricketer. Vittori, will he play? Right, headline in the back of the Guardian, Garcia, I'm sorry, I'm not a racist. Sergio Garcia has escaped punishment after making a grovelling apology to Tiger Woods over his ill-advised comments. Here's a reaction we've had to the story here on talkSPORT.
It's hard to get out of what the intent of the comment was, because he deliberately went into an area which could only be construed, even though it wasn't intended to be racist, it could be construed in a racial way.
I want to apologize to Tiger and anybody that I could have offended by the comment I made, and I feel sick about it.
An awkward situation where they just obviously don't get on, and it's obviously out in the public, and it's not really any of my business. I fortunately get on well with both of them, but I've no interest in getting in the middle of that relationship.
That was the editor of Golf Weekly, Roy Sidak, Sergio Garcia, and of course Lee Westwood.
Talk Sport, on air, online and on TV at Sky Channel 0108.
Good morning, 7:45 on talkSPORT. We're going to talk about events yesterday in just a moment, but first, Matt Scott's left. He's left another bottle of champagne, Ronnie. I'm getting embarrassed by this.
Done well.
But Chicken, I think you should have that, mate, because as Matt said, this is your last day. We've got a lot of tweets and messages coming in. It's just time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, the management obviously decided that that's the case here, but listen, these things happen, and people make decisions, and the changes to be, and as a person, you sort of grasp that, and you sort of, like you said, move on and do your own thing. So I don't know what's going to happen really. I just got to have a chat with them and just sort it out. But it's nice words for him to say that. I just had a private mention to him because he's a good bloke. Obviously, about the situation, as you said, people make these decisions. In workplaces, people go into work every day. These things get decided, and you just get on with it, Al.
Have that champagne.
Yeah, I know you're
I've had 6 good years, mate.
Thank you. That's nice.
6 good years, Chicken. And you're still doing the cricket show, yeah?
Yeah, hopefully on Sunday, but I just got to sort that out yet. I just got to see what's happening. But I might be off the bubbly now, Al, for the next 6 years. Eh? Yeah, it's been great. Absolutely loved every minute of it.
7:46. Shocking news yesterday emerged from Woolwich, South London, when a man believed to be a member of the armed forces was killed in a machete attack by Islamic extremists. Join us now with the very latest. Former Met Police commander with 25 years in counter-terrorism, Bob Milton joins us. Bob, very good morning.
Morning, Bob.
Good morning.
Bob, I've got to ask, it seemed that ages for the police to arrive at the scene, and then even longer for the armed police to arrive. Standers by, were just passers by, were just standing there, jaws open, couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Yeah, it looked that way, didn't it? I mean, I'm more concerned about the time it took for armed police to arrive.
Yeah.
I think uniformed police were there reasonably quickly. But, of course, the trouble at the moment is that we haven't got sufficient resources on the ground anymore, so it does take a while for armed police to get to these incidents.
And that is worrying, the word you said, that insufficient. We don't have the numbers anymore because, with the greatest respect, I just see this escalating now. I'm sorry. I think we're far too lenient in this country, and I really, really fear for the coming months.
Well, let's try and think about this for a bit. I mean, we don't know what this is about, whether it's a couple of individuals who have been self-radicalized, who carried out this horrific attack on their own volition, or whether it's something far more sinister than that. My gut feeling is that it's the first thing, that it is two people who've just, for whatever reason, decided that this is their way of fulfilling their political objectives. It's a terrible attack. It's totally and utterly unjustified. and we need to deal with it that way. If it's more sinister than that, then clearly the Metro Police and the government have got a bigger problem on their hands.
Yeah, and they're going to look into that. Obviously, there's a massive investigation underway.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when things like, you people will never be safe. I mean, this is horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is what terrorism is all about. You know, you try and instill fear, intimidation, you try and make people change their governments. And what we saw yesterday was a classic piece of terrorism. But the good thing is that the people in this country are far more resilient and they're far more aware of what's going on. And I'm sure that with people like the Muslim Council of Britain speaking and other senior Muslim leaders talking, we can get a grips with this. And we don't allow for instance, the extreme right wing to react and end up escalating the problem even more.
Bob, intelligence. We're cutting back on money. We're cutting back on legs in the ground. Intelligence. Are we spending enough on it? Is our intelligence in counter-terrorism, is it strong enough?
Well, the interesting about intelligence is how do you identify, you know, what we call lone wolves, clean-skinned people who are plotting this attack? How do you get intelligence on those people? It's extremely difficult. This is why it's so important to work with the community, is to work with every part of the community to identify people who are perhaps becoming radicalised, to stop them before they resort to this level of violence.
I want to ask you, I mean, in 2006, a group of men in Birmingham obviously plotted to kidnap and behead a British soldier.
Yeah.
Is this something the police, you know, will have seen coming?
Well, I think the police will certainly have been aware of the risks to our armed forces over here. There would have been measures put in place to try and protect them. There clearly will be greater measures put in place now, particularly around barracks and military installations to ensure that our soldiers are safe. It's just one of many different ways that the terrorists can attack us. But I'm actually pretty confident that the Met Police Service and the other police services in the UK will get a grip of this.
Where would, Bob, I don't know if you're aware of this, or you can help me here, but where would the armed police, where would be the closest unit to Woolwich? Where would they have to have come from?
Well, what happens is, because Woolwich is what is termed as an outer borough, it's not one of the inner London boroughs as such, they wouldn't have any dedicated resources actually on that borough. So they would call up a patrolling armed unit. And it just depends on where they are at the time as to whether or not how long it would take them to get down there. Now, there are issues the Met Police will be looking at as to whether or not the length of time it took for an armed unit to get to the scene was unacceptable.
Yeah.
And that's something for the Met to consider.
Okay, Bob, thank you for that. Bob Milton there, former Met Police Commander for, 25 years experience. Let's hear from Prime Minister David Cameron briefly, speaking yesterday after the shocking scenes down in Woolwich.
We have suffered these attacks before. We have always beaten them back. And we've done that through a combination of vigilance, of security, of good policing, but above all the way we've beaten them back is showing an absolutely indomitable British spirit.
Prime Minister David Cameron, of course, any new updates you will find here on talkSPORT throughout the day with the very, very latest news coming from the Met Police. Okay, it's coming up 9 minutes to 8 o'clock. Let's get the sporting odds. Here comes Mark Pearson.
The Betfred Form Guide on talkSPORT with Betfred.com. Pocket yourself up to a £50 welcome bonus when you stake up to £50. Exclusions and conditions apply. Selected odds. New customers only.
Right, it's all about managers. Warm welcome. Betfred's Mark Pearson. Morning, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Morning.
Morning, Al. Morning, Ronnie.
Now, what about, where do we start, Mark? Let's start Nick Stokes, manager.
Isn't there?
Oh, no. What about Stoke? I see Di Matteo in one of the papers today is mentioned.
When it was first came out on Tuesday afternoon that Pulis was leaving Stoke, Roberto Di Matteo was installed as favourite. It's actually Mark Hughes now at 3-1, Roberto Di Matteo at 5-1, Gus Poyet 8, Roberto Martinez at 8, Martin O'Neill at 8. He's seen a little bit of support actually. Rafa Benitez at 9-1. Everton, well, this has been a really volatile market. It's been changing every hour. The current favourite is the Porto boss. He's out of contract. He's big mates with Andres Villas-Boas as well. Vitor Pereira is a current favourite at 7-4. He was back yesterday afternoon. Reports in Portugal they'd actually been offered a job. But what we're hearing is there's still about 6 or 7 candidates, and Bill Kenwright has not made up his mind yet. And he's going to speak to a few, including a few of the ex-players, the likes of David Weir, Alan Stubbs and Phil Neville as well. So it's Vitor Pereira at 7-4, Roberto Martinez at 9-2. We should know about his future today. Malky Mackay at 6-1, Neil Lennon at 8, Alan Stubb at 8, and David Weir at 14-1, Phil Neville at 16-1.
I got the feeling, Ronnie, talking to Malky Mackay, was it yesterday morning, that he's going nowhere?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. We had a chat with him yesterday, Mark, and he was sort of positive about building up to the pre-season with Cardiff.
Well, he's just got them up as champions.
Yeah.
So, would you walk away from it? It all depends, doesn't it? I suppose it depends what you're offered, the contract, etc., the chairman.
Yeah.
I mean, no denying, obviously, Everton are a very, very big club. But at the moment, it's the Porto boss. He's won the league. He's a favourite at 7-4. But they've been flip-flopping about every half hour. It's been a really lively managerial market, the Everton one. The others seem a lot more clear-cut. Next Chelsea boss, well, Mourinho's about 20-1 on to be the next Chelsea boss. And there was a rumour that City players were told after the Norwich game that Pellegrini will take over, and he's about 20-1 on, even 30-1 on in
What
places.
about a Champions League final and, of course, Palace against Watford?
Bayern Munich are getting backed. Obviously, the news that no Mario Götze for Dortmund.
And this is 90 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, this is the 90 minutes betting, because we could have penalties and extra time, of course, at Wembley. The 90 minutes betting. The 90 minutes betting. Bayern Munich 4-6 for draws 11-4. Dortmund 7-2 to actually lift the trophy. Dortmund 7-4. Bayern Munich 4-9. Bayern have won it 4 times. Not won it since 2001. And we've got the Scottish Cup final on Sunday, haven't we? Celtic are 2-5, the draws 100-30, Hibs 13-2, and the game on Monday, Palace versus Watford. Palace 2-1, the draws 12-5, Watford 6-5. But get promoted, that's the most important. Watford 4-7, Palace 5-4.
And Mark, just telescope drifting in the betting after yesterday?
Yeah, we had it live on Betfred TV in all our shops, and well, Sir Michael Stout said it was workmanlike, and it did look very workmanlike as well. I was wondering if Fergie was going to give Telescope the hairdryer. He didn't look too happy after that. It's drifted in the betting. Going to work again on Saturday, but what it means, Al, dawn approach. Odds on now. 5-6 now, dawn approach. And talking about odds on, Carl Froch is getting backed 4-9 to beat Kessler on Saturday night. Chuck in the Monaco Grand Prix as well. These 3 big finals. It's a great weekend of sport, isn't it? Really good racing as well. It's the Betfred Temple Stakes at Haydock.
Brilliant, Mark. Nice one, Mark. And by the way, Chicken, just because you're leaving, we've still got that bet on in the Grand Prix. I've got Red Bull and Vettel, and you've got Alonso.
Ferrari and Alonso. So keep that going for us, Mark, please.
Yes, certainly will do. And we'll get you on Betfred TV previewing the Ashes, Ronnie.
Yes, that'd be nice. Thank you, mate.
Nice one, Mark Pearson now from Betfred. More sporting odds again tomorrow morning with Mark. Now, coming up to 8 o'clock, this is Connor, the Wigan fan. He says, after hearing Dave Whelan on talkSPORT yesterday, I really hope Roberto stays with us as the only man who will get us straight back up. That's Connor, the Wigan man. Now, still to come, the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast this morning. We're going to be hearing from the former England striker Dean Ashton and the Crystal Palace striker Kevin Phillips ahead of that game Monday. All that and much, much more. Good morning, 4 minutes after 8 o'clock. Good morning and welcome. Roberto Martinez's future at Wigan is set to be decided later today. After he held talks with Chairman Dave Whelan, Whelan spoke to talkSPORT and said the Spaniard can do better than the clubs he's been linked with so far.
Everton's a big club, Everton's a great club, and Stoke's a big club and a great club. I wouldn't have one bad word to say about those clubs, but Roberto is a very special manager, and he's destined for one of the really, really big clubs across Europe.
Meanwhile, Manuel Pellegrini's move to City edged a little closer. Last night, as the Chilean confirmed he will quit Malaga, City midfielder Sami Nasri told Sky Sports News that Pellegrini is the perfect choice to replace Roberto Mancini.
I think he's a great manager. He proved himself in Villarreal, in Real Madrid as well, even if he didn't win the title, but he finished with 96 points the season. You pay ticket to go to football to see something great, and he's the kind of manager who can do it.
Man City fans, you're convinced that Pellegrini is the right man to take the club forward. And Wigan fans, how crucial is it you keep hold of Roberto to come back, bounce straight back up? Call us 08717 223344, text 81089, or email us through the website talksport.co.uk. Good morning and welcome to the Sports Breakfast.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT.
6 minutes after 8 o'clock, so the special one, Jose Mourinho will leave his position as Real Madrid next month. It's odds on he's heading back to the bridge. Let's speak to former Chelsea's Michael Duberry. Michael, good morning.
Morning, Michael.
Good morning.
It's going to be interesting next year, Michael, isn't it? Crikey, with Davy in at United, Pellegrini at City, and Jose back at Chelsea.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting year if all that falls to place. Yeah, it'd be good for the neutrals, I'd say. Exciting again.
And what about Michael? Would you put the three of them, before we talk more about Jose, would you put the three, Chelsea, City, United, way above Tottenham, Arsenal? Have they got a lot of ground to make up?
I think they start off, the three best teams, judging on the ending this year and what they've got. So I think, them three, everyone else has a lot of catching up to. Not a lot, but I think they're the three at the top. Now,
they say you shouldn't go back to your clubs, Michael, but Jose, listen, I love him. I think he's great, me. Some people don't like the way he acts. Mr. Calderon, the Vice President on Andy and Richard's show yesterday, was giving him pelters. I can't see it, me. I like Jose. He's a winner.
I like him. I like his mentality. And the biggest thing, all his antics and that, he always took the pressure off his teams. And everyone, every player that's played for him has got great things to say. So I think whatever he's done, he done it right, he done it properly, and he's a winner, like everyone says.
I was listening to Frank Lampard on Keys and Gray just the other day, and he was just saying about Jose, the way he handles the press, the media. He's sort of different, obviously, in front of the camera compared to in the dressing room. He's got this siege mentality, which, Frank was saying, look, I was a decent player. I mean, we all think he was better than that, but he just made me feel as though I could be a great player, and he got so much more out of me than anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's the key with a lot of great managers. Getting that extra 10% out of a player, making him feel he's a better player than maybe he is, and some managers can't do that, and the better ones do that. And I think he done that, in the way he dealt with the press, in the press conference. He took the pressure. A lot of the headlines were on him and how his antics and how he was. And, his teams, behind the scenes just got on with their tactics, what they had to do, and come game time, they won.
And Michael as well, listen, no matter how good a player, how great a player you are, I mean, sometimes you go through, long confidence and you can be down, but he said Mourinho almost takes that away from you as a player.
Yeah, I've never worked under him, but, the effects and, to see the comments that players talking of him about him, when a manager leaves and you've got the half the team, crying and not want him to leave, that says it all, because in this football, you don't cry for a lot of managers.
Yeah, Michael, what about who was your favourite manager to work under?
I'd say Gianluca Vialli at Chelsea. I found him good. I found him really good. Johan Boschkamp when I was at Stoke, Dutch manager. Just the way he spoke of football, and the way he put it across. But I think in football, when you get old, you go through different stages, and at the beginning, Glenn Hoddle, just for his discipline that he gave me as a youngster, was brilliant. But I think Luca, at the time, I think was one of my favourite. I think maybe because my success as winning stuff come under him a lot. But I just like the way, again, from the player to the manager, and how he put football, how he simplified it, and his energy and zest for the game. That stuck with me.
I like the way you mentioned Hoddle as well, Michael, because I was with Glenn a week or so ago, and then why he's not back in football as a manager is a joke, an absolute joke.
Yeah, I think he's got so much knowledge. The discipline he gave me, the one of them people that put football across so simple. He's got so much knowledge for the game. When you see him talking on TV, and the knowledge and the way he puts football, you can see it. How he's not in football, I don't know. I think he's a brilliant manager, and for me, he's like he gave me the foundation. Everything I have now, still playing at 37, is because of the foundations that he put in me as a player, and that's why.
Yeah, well said, Michael. Thank you. Michael Dubry there, Glenn Hoddle. If anyone listening, you're looking for, listen, he doesn't need me shouting about it, but I promise you, he's still in love with the game. Big star. I spent hours with him. And the enthusiasm is all there, and he's got great ideas as well. All that nonsense you heard about, he's got this and that, and faith healing. Forget it, he's back to absolutely bang on, and he must get a job soon. He must. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was with a guy called Donald McDermott, who's in Portugal, Al, and he was saying he's quite close to Glenn on a couple of things that he's done work-wise. And he said, yeah, regarding what you said, that was kind of a minor blip, wasn't it, for Glenn? Yeah. That was a minor blip for Glenn.
No, he should be back
in terms. The guy is just incredible.
Absolutely.
I've been lucky enough just to see him work. I was over at Dagenham working with the youngsters when he brought the boys over. He had with his it was this sort of academy, wasn't it? Soccer Seals Academy. And no, it was absolutely superb. You could see, and yeah, shame that big job doesn't seem like it's going to come across from at the moment.
Nope. Now the European Tour's flagship event, the PGA Championship, got underway at Wentworth earlier this morning. Let's head to Rupert Bell for an update. Rupert, good morning.
Morning, Rupert.
Good morning. Thank goodness the golf's got underway. Bright and breezy it is. The weather's expected to deteriorate, but there's been plenty of talk in the build-up. The hype obviously really turned up, and obviously Sergio Garcia dominating the headlines. He's teeing it up this afternoon when we're expecting heavy rain and wind, and obviously deeply apologetic yesterday was in a press conference here following his inappropriate remarks at Tuesday night's European Tour dinner. Well, teeing it up shortly, Rory McIlroy is playing alongside Graham McDowell, and their relationship has taken a bit of a turn for the worse since it was revealed that Rory McIlroy is going to be splitting from their management team, which he only joined 18 months ago, but they've had a heart-to-heart, so it'll be interesting to see the body language between those two when they tee it up in the next 15 minutes or so. But the early pace setters, well, with the conditions a strong breeze, Tom Lewis is one of 5 players, the young Englishman, on 1 under par. But as I say, the big guns are about to tee it up. Martin Keimer, and also about to tee it up, we have Justin Rose on the first tee.
Brilliant, thank you, Rupert. Justin Rose will have a big chance. Lee West would have a chance, Ronnie.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks great, doesn't it?
I looked at it. And then you hear the rain and the winds coming again. What a joke.
I didn't hear how Goffey went on yesterday.
That's the point. Yeah. Don't know.
And he went on.
Who won it? Do we know who won it?
No, I didn't check it out. So
right, I got on the phone.
Didn't get time yesterday.
Right, 13 minutes after 8 o'clock on talkSPORT.
Still to come on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
We have to wait and see how the lads handle the day and the issues. We've given them as good a chance as we can, and we know exactly who we're taking on. We know how they will play. They've played the same way all season, and some teams have struggled to stop them. So we've got to first concentrate on stopping them and then see if we can counter-attack and hurt them.
Palace manager Ian Holloway looking ahead to Monday's Championship playoff final. What a game. It's going to be brilliant. Watford's striker Kevin Phillips will join us as aims to win his first playoff final at the 4th attempt, and you wouldn't put it past him. Coming off the bench and whacking one in, or nodding one in.
Yeah, steady on.
Meanwhile, Cal Froch insists he's out for revenge when he takes on Mikel Kessler at the O2 on Saturday night.
I'm not going to let this guy beat me again, but I know it's going to be very, very tough. It's going to be brutal. It could even be, quite vicious and barbaric. But the both of us are in there to do a job. We're both real tough, strong warriors.
Boxing promoter Eddie Hearn joins us in the studio to look ahead to Britain's biggest fight, in recent years. And German football expert Ralf Honigstein tells us what we can expect from Saturday's All-German Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund at Wembley. 14 after 8.
Plus, we speak to Ronnie Irani's driver, Dave, on whether it's lettered or unlettered for Irani.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with the all-new Ford Ranger. Advanced ESP with 3-mode traction control system to tame any terrain.
19 after 8 o'clock. Good morning. You're listening to Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Here's the headlines making the back pages. The Times, Pellegrini to start early at City. Manuel Pellegrini will start work at Manchester City a week on Monday, and having been charged by the club's Abu Dhabi owners with playing very, very beautiful football.
The Independent, the Indie, Garcia fights for reputation as Wood slams hurtful joke. Sponsors join the condemnation of the Spaniard who issues full apologies to Tiger after totally stupid racist remark.
Yeah, Daily Mirror, Torres takes a nap. Napoli want Rafa Benitez and Fernando Torres to form a dream team in Italia.
Daily Express, a Paris match. French big spenders PSG to make audacious bid to reunite the Rooney and Ronaldo dream team.
And the Sun, Bale, the real deal. Gareth Bale was last night urged by Real Madrid star Sergio Ramos. Come and join us, Gareth.
The big stories of the day on talkSPORT with the all-new Ford Transit Custom. International Van of the Year 2013.
20 after 8, go on, read that one out. There's so many tweets and messages coming in. It's lovely. Go on, read it out. Don't be embarrassed.
Dream team.
Don't be embarrassed. Go on.
Just
nice.
loads of people saying good luck and all the best and this and that. And Neil Pearson. Fergie gone, Beckham gone. Now, the biggest surprise of the year, Irani leaving. That's from Neil Pearson.
That's nice.
All the very best.
Very nice.
Yeah,
now, West Ham have reportedly agreed a fee with Liverpool for Andy Carroll, but the England striker's yet to decide if he wants to join the Hammers permanently. What should he do? Let's speak to former West Ham and England striker Dean Ashton. Dean, good morning.
Morning, Dean.
Good morning, guys.
How are you, Dean? You okay?
I couldn't be better. I'm at Wentworth, so really happy.
Oh, lovely,
Very
lovely,
nice.
lovely. You didn't play yesterday, did you, in the Pro-Am or Celeb?
Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
I'd love to get an invite to something like that.
Mind you, I hope you've got waterproofs, pal. With Rupert Beller, man just told us, heavy winds and rain coming later.
Absolutely, yeah, I got my blue with me.
Now, what about, let's hope we don't need waterproofs at the Champions League, and of course the playoffs, some big games coming up, and of course news coming out of the East End of London. It looks as if West Ham still trying to do a deal with Andy Carroll.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He was such a big player for them, especially towards the end of the season, but I'm sure that they want to get the signature of Andy Carroll and will do everything they can to get it.
And what about, I look at West Ham, and there was still question marks about Sam Allardyce. You look at their position in the Premier League now, fabulous, honestly. I think West Ham can get better now.
I do, yeah. I think this is sort of I think really they would have been thinking just to stay up would have been a good season, and they've had a little bit better than that. And I think they can make some good signings, starting with Andy Carroll in the summer. I think they can go on and do better next year.
And it looks as if Carlton Cole on his way out of West Ham. Carlton will find another good club, won't he?
I'd like to think so, yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of time for Cole. I think he does get a lot of stick from people, but obviously, being close to him in terms of playing and training, I know he is a very good player, and he's probably one of the strongest players I've ever seen. Not many people sort of ragdoll John Terry and players like that off the ball, and he's one of those who does that.
Just on Andy Carroll, obviously you're a similar player to him. Is there less demand for that type of striker at clubs these days, Dean?
Definitely, yeah. I think obviously the way Barcelona play and they've shown that you don't have to be big to play good football. But I think there's always a place for strikers like myself and Andy Carroll in certain teams, and it's sort of that dying art. Getting across him, to get in. Obviously, sure was best at that.
Dean, just a quickie. The line's not great, mate, by the way. No. One of the guys I like, and I'm sure you've been pressed from as well, Dean, would be Benteke at Villa. He looks a player.
Oh, he looks a fantastic player, yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of clubs that will be looking to get his signature, and if Villa can keep hold of him, then he's going to be a big asset next year.
Brilliant. Dean, listen, have a great day down there. Hopefully you won't get too wet. It's going to be some tournament. Cheers, Dean. Thanks. Down at Wentworth there, Dean Ashton. It'd be lovely. Rupert said it was lovely, but the weather's going to change. Great golf. Well, it's a great set at Wentworth, isn't it? Full stop.
All three courses are superb.
Yes, but I like the East Course. That's my favourite.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you don't have to walk as far.
I think because I played it better.
That's because you don't have to walk as far.
That's rubbish.
That's what you told me.
Rubbish. That long march up the 18. Drive 3 iron.
Oh yeah, right on. You said to me it's because you don't have to walk as far.
Rubbish. You make things up, chicken.
The Edinburgh is gorgeous.
What?
The Edinburgh, I think the Edinburgh course is wonderful. Listen, the West Course we know it's not the cheapest course to play. It's a signature course. It's fantastic, but if people get the chance and budget wise, if they play the East and Edinburgh, let me tell you, they're both magnificent golf courses, and it's a great place to play.
Restaurant, patio, jug of Pimm's. Can't beat it.
Stay overnight.
Can't beat it. Right, back page of the Sun. Bale, the real deal. Ramos, we love you. Gareth, oof, not good for Tottenham fans. And Tony is a Spurs fan in Rainham in Essex. Tony, good morning.
Hi, Tony.
Morning, Alan. Morning, Ronnie. Morning, guys.
Hiya.
Hi there. Yeah, personally, I just think, I sort of called it a couple of months ago, speaking to a couple of me Spurs fans and, and Arsenal fans and various people, and just saying, I don't think he's quite ready for it just yet, because he's obviously he basically said himself the other day, hasn't quite perfected that position yet. But, I know he's a different player to Modric, but as you know, Modric went to Madrid and struggled. If Ronaldo does leave Madrid, that's the void that, and they're going to be expecting him to perform every week. Bale's been fantastic for us.
Yeah.
But to me, I still think he needs another season. It suits everyone, because obviously we need him for another year at least, obviously. And I still think that he's still got to perfect, which he said himself the other day, he still needs to perfect that position, which he'll get at Tottenham, but Madrid.
Yeah, Tony made a good point there. If Cristiano was to leave, Bale goes in, he ain't going to score a goal every game, is he?
That's the trouble. What was Ronaldo? It wasn't far off 60 goals, I think, was it?
Frightening. Absolutely frightening.
So, Bale's fantastic, but I don't think I think he probably knows himself. He's not quite, and he even said a few days ago that he hasn't perfected that position, so at White Hart Lane, he'll get the chance to do that,
What has AVB got to do now, in the next few weeks, to build? How many players has he got to bring in, Tony?
Personally, I think he needs to basically have an absolute clear out of the Deadwood. Gallas has got to go. Dempsey's not good enough. He's got to go. There's certain players that have just got to go, get off the wage bill. It'd be great to get like Benteke in, a creative midfielder we desperately need. You've got players like Adebayor against Sunderland, was coming back, picked the ball up off a centre back.
Yeah.
We so badly missed Modric. we're not going to get him back, but there's got to be more. But they've got to get the backing of Joe Lewis, and the thing is, the important thing is, Levy seems to be learning kind of every year, but he now must know he's got to go in early, get the player he wants, get all the players that he wants, but he needs to, for me, at least one good Benteke would be fantastic. And a creative midfielder, and I don't think we're too far off it at all then.
Tony, listen, you love your club Spurs, absolutely, and just on Gareth Bale, Man United seen it with Cristiano Ronaldo, Real Madrid, Cesc Fabregas, Arsenal, going then to Barcelona. When a big club like this comes calling, it'd be so difficult for the lad to turn down, won't it?
Oh, I totally agree. I do totally agree, but I think he's fairly grand. I think he's quite a realistic guy as well, though. I think he knows himself. Even a few days ago, as I said, he was sort of saying, he hasn't perfected that position himself yet. So, on the other side of it, would you necessarily want to put yourself straight, under that pressure when all of a sudden, don't get me wrong, everyone knows he's a fantastic player, but I don't think he's quite ready for Madrid yet, because that will be every day pressure will be on him to perform as Ronaldo's performed, because that's the closest player that's linked, like for like. For me personally, I'm not just saying that as a Spurs fan, but that's why I think that he probably needs another year to perfect it, and then. By all means, I think, he'd have every right to go, that's what I think anyway. But.
Okay, Tony, nice one. Ancelotti looks as he's in at Real Madrid, doesn't he?
I'm coming from Al on that. Not just Real Madrid, Barcelona, but you retired at 27, and I hope Gareth Bale goes on and plays for the next 10, 12 years. Stays injury-free and does exceptionally well, and becomes the mega-star that we hope he does. Yeah. But a massive contract like that turns up, you could be one, tackle away like the Wigan lad, did on the winger. You just never know in the game, and it's just a massive opportunity for him. Be great if he stays in the Premier League, be great if he stays at Spurs, but it's got to be so tempting for him. 8:31 here on talkSPORT. Still to come on the Sports Breakfast this morning. We'll be joined in the studio by top boxing promoter Eddie Hearn and German football expert Ralph Honigstein. He's going to join us. And any questions for Ralph, then let us know. You can tweet us at Sports Breakfast. You can tweet me at Ronnie Irani 1. We'll get that across as well if you fancy it. Or hashtag AskRaf. Hashtag AskRaf on the Twitter. At 1pm, Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs will join in the studio by New Zealand cricket captain Brendan McCullum. That'll be great. He's fiery. He gives it to him big time. And at 4pm, Adrian and Goff will be joined by WBO light heavyweight champion Nathan Cleverly.
So, Pellegrini in at City. That'll be done shortly. And Jose, of course, into Chelsea. Former Real Madrid president. Vincent Calderon, he joined Richard Keys and Andy Gray live here in talkSPORT Towers in the studio yesterday and spoke to them about Jose Mourinho.
He pushes his players to see the rivals like enemies. I think that's a mistake, always. And that's why all the players now in Real Madrid are quarreling, fighting with him. But saying that, I know that some people in Spain like him also, like the way he behaved. I don't. I have to say that in Real Madrid, the worst record is the one he's got.
Mr. Calderon, is he up for his... no, it's Perez, isn't it, who's up for re-election, isn't it? Look, Josie, crikey's record, I'm not going to read it out. It'll take me too long to read it out. His record is just fantastic.
You love him, don't you? You like him, don't you?
I do. Do you know why
Would
I
you
like
employ
him? Yeah, do you know why I like him, Ronnie?
I reckon
Because
you clash with him all the time.
No, I don't, because I like people who make decisions, and I think he makes quick decisions. This is not working, change it.
Away you go, yeah.
I like that, I do, and look, I remember first coming across him when I was in Seville watching Celtic play Porto. And he really annoyed me, and some of the players' antics. But I remember his name from then and on. I just watched him get better and better and better. Following year, they won the Champions League.
Absolutely. So you're looking forward to him coming back to the Premier League?
I am. I think next year's going to be great. I think it's going to be fairly open. I really do. I think Davy...
Does that make Chelsea favourites now, Al? In your opinion?
No,
not by the book.
No, I wouldn't say favourite. I'd say there's nothing... I honestly am not sitting on the fence. I think there's nothing between the three teams. I think Arsenal and Tottenham still have to step up.
Yep.
I think the other three, there's nothing between them now.
What about Liverpool? Where do you see them?
I see Liverpool getting maybe a bit closer to Spurs, but no more than that.
Right.
But if Bale goes,
Tottenham,
Liverpool could be around Tottenham and maybe above them.
So Everton, where they finished this year?
Everton, I think, will do well to finish the same.
Right. You said that about
whoever
Stoke as well.
whoever comes in to Everton Football Club, because I think Moyes was great. And whoever goes in, it's going to be tough early on. I really mean that. I think it's going to be tough early on.
Who they're going to keep as well, Everton.
Well, exactly. You imagine Bainsley, you imagine Jack Elkers, Fellaini. Imagine he'd lose three players like that.
Yeah, well, they'll get good money. They'll get good money for those. They'll get good money, and Everton have always sort of, they've got a good academy and they'll have kids coming through, but also, they'll be caging the transfer market if they need to be and get certain players in who do a good job for them.
By the way,
look where Jagielka come from, Al, by the way.
No, he's a good player.
Yeah, but look where he come from. I mean, did you rate him so high?
Sheffield United.
Yeah, did you? To be honest,
played a few different positions.
And you thought it was?
I thought it was all right, but Neil Warnock raved about him.
But he's kicked on and improved again. Players do that. I mean, look at Gary Cahill. Gary Cahill, Aston Villa, featuring now and again, and he's all right, not really happening for him all of a sudden, then goes to Bolton Wanderers, kicks on again, improves. Players are allowed to do that at whatever level, and then they'll look at him at Chelsea and England.
Ronnie, just breaking news there, Mayor of London Boris Johnson just made a statement about yesterday. He says it's wrong to link killing on British foreign policy, and he also says wrong to just blame the religion of Islam. So Boris Johnson trying to produce a few paths of peace here, but I don't know if it's going to fall on deaf ears. 9:38. Dave the Villa fan from Aston. He says, "Don't agree with what that Tottenham's just said, boys. I'm sorry. When Benteke leaves, he'll go to a bigger club than Spurs. The boy will go right to the very, very top." Also, this one, Roger, this Tottenham fan from Edmonton, Bale has got to stay. Simple as that. He's got to stay for at least one more season just to help us get in the Champions League. If we don't get into the Champions League, then all Tottenham fans should accept that Gareth needs to go to a huge club, but hopefully abroad.
Yeah, I think, listen, most football fans, unless you're anti-Tottenham, but also whatever, you want the best place to play in the Premier League, don't you? We love the Premier League, but the temptation for Gareth Bale when Real Madrid come calling, it's going to be very difficult to turn down. Okay, he's still under contract, and Tottenham can dig their heels in, can't they? They can make him see out his contract, Alan, if you want. But Tottenham would make a massive profit on him as well. I mean, what figures are we talking here? Ronaldo went for, 80 million? What we're talking for Gareth Bale, Al?
I wouldn't be as much as Cristiano, I don't think.
No.
I think we're talking 50, 55, 16, no more than that.
Say £60 million. What can AVB do with £60 million? Okay, with Gareth Bale, he's a complete one-off. But is he going to play every single game? No. But you can bring in three.
He's got to sort his midfield out.
Can you bring three top-class players in for £60 million?
Can you bring three in? Yeah, just about.
A top centre-forward?
But he needs a centre-forward and he needs a central midfield player.
Yeah, minimum.
So that's two, and that could be as much as 40, 48, 46, around just below 50, then you get 10, 12 million to find someone else.
Yeah, different. So it's not.
But think of Bale's importance of the goals he scored.
Absolutely.
Like Van Persie kept saving Arsenal. Bale has been saving Tottenham.
No, absolutely. But Arsenal have still done some of this season without Van Persie.
Well, they did eventually.
Yeah, eventually. They got it right. Van Persie's obviously gone on and won Manchester United the title, you could argue as well. So, you know, I just think it's going to be very difficult for Gareth to turn down when Real Madrid come calling. If it was something in the Premier League, maybe even if it was, you know, dare I say it, Manchester City, where a lot of players have moved from other Premier League clubs to Manchester City, but, you know, Real Madrid, that's a big call.
Okay, 20 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're going to build up to a huge fight. A great clash is, of course, Karl Froch will take on Kessler. Saturday night, Eddie Hearn, top promoter, live in the studio.
I've got the loss on my record from Mikel Kessler from 3 years ago. So it's time now for me to do the business, and I'm so close now to Saturday night, and it's going to be such an unbelievable event and occasion. Start to get the nerves, start to get apprehensive, and the tension kicks in. But no, I'm ready. I've done the work. Everything's done now. I've just got to get mentally now switched on the next couple of days.
Whoa, 8:45. So a huge week of boxing, a huge week comes to a head with the hotly anticipated rematch. It's Karl Froch against Mikel Kessler at the O2. Welcome to talkSPORT promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, good morning.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Now, Eddie, we know sometimes things can get out of hand. We watched Hay and Chisora, and this has been a war of words and some nasty things said, which I think you've got to take, not with a pinch of salt, but I think you've got to understand what's at stake here, and perhaps, it's not 100% meant.
No, I mean, Karl sort of semi-exploded at the press conference yesterday. There's a huge amount of respect between both fighters. Sometimes when you've got 30, 40 media in your face, you've trained 3 times a day for 12 weeks, you've looked at constant footage of another man beating you, and then you come head to head, you try and explain what it means to you. And Karl tried to do that yesterday, and, obviously he probably said some things that he may regret, but, what he was trying to do was explain what this means to him and what he's prepared to do to win. He's prepared to do anything to win. This means more to him than anything in the world right now.
I was looking at the stats as well, Eddie. Both 6'1", reach very similar. Froch just has the advantage by an inch. What interests me was fights. Froch has only had 32 fights, whereas Kessler has had 48. This looks as if it's going to be a battle right to the last bell. I just wonder, he's had a few battles, Kessler, hasn't he? Maybe this might be in Froch's favour.
He has. He's had a lot of battles. So has Froch. I mean, Froch has had an incredible run of world championship events. I mean, you look at the quality of opponents he's been in with. And over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, Froch has been in with the very best, whereas Kessler hasn't. He hasn't been that active. Now, his trainer yesterday was trying to state the claim that he's fresher because of that, and because Froch has been in all these wars, he wouldn't be as fresh. Rob McCracken, Karl Froch's trainer, was trying to say, no, he's more in the mode because he's been active. Exactly. Active. I think what you're going to see here is, I think it's going to come down to desire. And what I've seen from Karl Froch in this camp, and especially yesterday, is, he's desperate to win this fight. I can't, you talk to him, you can see him, he's about to well up. And that's something that I'm concerned about as a promoter, because you've got to keep it inside. You've got to stay cool. When he walks out in front of 19,000 people at the O2 screaming his name on Saturday night, it's easy to make mistakes, to lose concentration. And this is a sport where, you cannot afford to lose concentration for even a second. You've got to stick to a game plan. You've got to stay calm. And I had a long conversation with Karl last night, exactly trying to just keep him calm. We know how badly he wants it. We know how big this fight is, but he's got a game plan. He's got a job to do. And listen, both guys are respected. Both guys are incredible warriors of the sport, and they both know what they're about to go through on Saturday night. Yeah,
it's just going to be great. What about in the lead up to the fight, Eddie? Karl was very, very angry, wasn't it, with Cleverly, who incidentally is on drive today, Nathan Cleverly, and Groves for sparring with Kessler. So how dare you? What are you doing? Why are you trying to help him?
Yeah, look, we also promote George Groves as well, and we don't get involved in sparring, but I think George's decision to go and spar with Kessler was basically to improve as a fighter. George is on the bill as well. He's in a tough fight, a very big fight for him, and eventually, George is going to be in line to face the winner of this fight, whether that be later in the year or some point next year.
But the way Karl was talking, you ain't fighting me. Not for what you've done.
I'll sort that out. but they don't like each other. George doesn't like Karl Froch, and Karl Froch doesn't like George Groves, so they don't owe each other anything. And George's decision was based around improving as a fighter.
Just as a promoter, Eddie, trash talk, which comes out, how does that affect with the promotion? Is it good for it? And as we say, you touched on earlier, Carl saying, if I have to kill him to keep my title, then I will. In fact, the way I feel now, I want to do to him serious damage. How is that as a promoter? Is that sort of good for you because it gets things going, or is it a little bit, you've gone over the top there?
I'm not really an advocate of trash talk. I don't like manipulated trash talk. If someone's speaking from the heart, sometimes you can't stop them from saying certain things. Carl Froch is a role model to young fighters, so you have to be very careful what you say. But I will say that he's showing his passion here, and at the end of the day, this is how he feels about this fight. This is what it means to him. He doesn't want to, at the end of the day, he doesn't want to do any damage to Mikel.
He doesn't want to actually kill him.
No,
of
course not. But what he's saying
is
is mentally, he's prepared to do whatever it takes to walk through Mikel Kessler. And he'll have to, because Kessler's a huge puncher. He's got a great chin. I mean, that's another problem going into this fight. They've both got granite chins, and they both punch like mules. So
both their styles are so well suited to one another. It is going to be a great fight.
Is this up with Ben and Eubank?
Yeah, I spoke to my old man the other day, and he said it feels exactly the same to him. He feels it's one of the biggest fights since Ben Eubank in terms of two super middleweights, at the top of their game. Both world champions. The first fight is just the greatest advert for this event you could ever get. And I think the public embraced the fact that actually they're two good blokes. And they both train as hard as they possibly can.
Carl's heavy odds on with the bookies to win this.
He is. I mean, but to say that in a two-horse race, he's not that heavy. I mean, you look at other fights and you get some much longer odds on the underdog, so to speak, who's Kessler. I think the home advantage will play a huge part, and I think that's what people are looking at.
Sold out as well, Eddie, so how do we watch it then?
Sky Sports box office on Saturday night. We sold out in 3 hours, so, the demand's already been big. I will urge people to book early, what these phone lines are like, and tomorrow we'll be down at the O2 from 1 o'clock for the big weigh-in at the Piazza, so that's free entry for everybody. Come down.
Really? The
weigh-in is a great occasion. It's the final face-off, the last time they get a chance to look each other in the eyes.
A lot of Nottingham punters heading down to London?
Yeah, there will be. I mean, like I said, we sold out in 3 hours, so normally Carl's fights are in Nottingham in the UK, but when he fought Lucian Butte, when he won back the world title to become a three-time champion of the world, the atmosphere was incredible. There was 9,000.
9,000, now 19. Now, I heard you say very difficult to plan ahead for this one after this fight because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, Carl's 35 years of age. He's getting, in our opinion, faster, fitter and stronger. But when you see what he's put his body through in this camp, he's pushed himself to the limit in every single way. And we know what kind of fight this is going to be with Mikel Kessler. And when you're in a fight like this, it's very difficult to talk about the future. I always try and plan the future as a promoter, and a fighter should only ever look at that fight. But with this being such, a physically and mentally exhausting fight ahead of him, it's all about Saturday night, win that, and then we'll look at Ward, Groves, Hopkins calling out the fight, even the Kessler rematch, but it's so important to get that.
Well, your stable has grown unbelievable. How do you keep them all happy?
Well, we're lucky enough to be the number one promoter on Sky Sports, and it's important to make sure you keep the fighters as busy as possible. And it's about managing their expectations, managing their schedule in the best possible way. But the young fighters have got a box every couple of weeks, and the champions and the world champions, in my opinion, have got a box every 2, 3, 4 months. Carl Froch will only box a couple of times a year because they're such huge fights. And really, the camps are so long and he needs his rest. He's 35 years old. But, British boxing's in a great place at the moment. We've got another world champion. Jamie McDonnell just won the world title. Ricky Burns defended his title the other week. Nathan Cleverly, who you mentioned there's a world champion. And Carl Froch. And, talk about potentially David Haye against Tyson Fury. And good old Audley Harrison's coming back, eh? I mean, who would have thought that?
Stay with us, Eddie. 7 minutes to 9 o'clock.
On air, online and on TV at Sky Channel 0108.
Eddie Hearn with his boxing promoter ahead of the big one on Saturday, Froch against Kessler. You mentioned, just touched on David Haye, heading for Bolton next, yeah?
No, that's where the show was rescheduled to. The undercard of the David Haye fight, Reese against Crolla, Lee Selby, Brian Rose, Tom Stalker, Rocky Fielding. That's moved to Bolton Arena on June the 29th. David's injured his hand, back punching in a couple of weeks, looking at to reschedule potentially that Manuel Char fight.
Yeah.
But there's also discussions going on with Tyson Fury as well. So and of course he wants to pitch for the fight.
Is he up for it? With the class of Haye?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's a huge amount of money involved in the fight. Tyson's sort of at that stage now where he's he's supposed to be fighting a guy called Pulev in a final eliminator for the world title, but Pulev is quite good, and there's not a lot of money in that fight, so it's about risk and reward. At the end of the day, if Tyson Fury can beat Pulev, he'll get a shot at the world title, but he's gambling in effect in a tough fight for small money.
What if he beat Hay?
Same thing. He'd probably end up getting a world title fight anyway and make huge money. So in my opinion, I think that's probably the route he'll end up going down.
Eddie, what about just finally now, Saturday night, is this going to go the distance?
You know, I don't think it will. I think Carl Froch is going to stop him late on. I think he's just got too much desire. That's the key here. You know, when a man has beaten you in the ring before, you know, don't get me wrong, Kessler wants to win this fight badly, but when someone's already beaten you, you know, when you're doing those runs, when you're doing those sprints, when you're doing those rounds on the bag, you do more and more and more because you remember that night, you have fire in your belly. And I've never seen fire in Carl Froch's belly like this. I think he's going to put in an intense display, just heap the pressure on Kessler all night. And with those 19,000 crowd behind him, I think he's going to stop him.
I remember him saying, he says he wasn't right, so I'm not making excuses. The first fight against Kessler, it wasn't me. I wasn't right. This is a different Carl Froch. I'm ready for him, no problem.
That's exactly right. You know, the first one, the fight was off, then it was on, they had the ash cloud, and all those excuses are boring. That's all out the window now. But he's dedicated to the last 12 months of his life. You know, his partner Rachel has just had a young daughter, which he's been away from, hasn't really been around for the birth as well. But he's dedicated. The only thing on his mind now is beating this man on Saturday night. And, you know, I'm so excited for him because he deserves this occasion. He's given everything to this sport.
Brilliant. Eddie, we look forward to it. Thank you. Eddie Hearn there. So what a fight's going to be. And you can see it, of course, it's a sellout on Sky Box Office. So have a look at that. And as Eddie says, book early because it's a nightmare. You sit down to fight, you're not through, and you're going crazy, aren't you? So get in early. Okay, still to come, the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast this morning. We're going to be hearing from Palace striker Kevin Phillips, with John Bauer, German football expert Ralf Honigstein in the studio. All that and much, much more. Good morning, 3 minutes after 9 o'clock. Good morning. Roberto Martinez's future at Wigan is set to be decided later today after he held talks with Chairman Dave Whelan. Whelan spoke to talkSPORT and said the Spaniard can do better than the clubs he's been linked with so far.
Everton's a big club, Everton's a great club, and Stoke's a big club and a great club. I wouldn't have one bad word to say about those clubs, but Roberto is a very special manager, and he's destined for one of the really, really big clubs across Europe.
And meanwhile, Manuel Pellegrini's moved to City edged a little closer last night as the Chilean confirmed he will quit Malaga. City midfielder Sami Nasri told Sky Sports News that Pellegrini is the perfect choice to replace Roberto Mancini.
I think he's a great manager. He proved himself in Villarreal, in Real Madrid as well, even if he didn't win the title, but he finished with 96 points the season. You pay ticket to go to football to see something great, and he's the kind of manager who can do it.
Manchester City fans, are you convinced that Pellegrini is the right man to take the club forward? And Wigan fans, how crucial is you keep hold of Roberto Martinez to bounce straight back? Call us 08717 223344, text us 81089, or email through the website talksport.co.uk. Good morning and welcome to the Sports Breakfast.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT.
Now, keep your calls coming on 08717 223344, but on Saturday night, all eyes will be on Wembley.
Ribéry down the left, chipping the ball to the far post. Muller is there, and he rises, he nods it home, and this is unbelievable. Bayern Munich have scored 3 in the camp now on the night that Barcelona needed 4. They haven't conceded. It's 7-0 on aggregate, and a changing of the guard is taking place.
This is a match that, on paper, you would assume the Bayern is the favorite, but Bayern doesn't like to play Dortmund. They've been the champions the last 2 years, even though Bayern ran away with the championship. It's a one-off, and anything can happen in those 92 minutes, and who knows how long it's going to take. So it'll be really 50-50.
Yeah, top man Boris Becker there. And we have a top man in the studio as well. Our German football expert, Ralf Honigstein, joins us. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Ralf? You okay?
Very well, yeah. How are you?
I'm good. You must be excited, huh? It's going to be great. Saturday night, packed Wembley, lots of Germans.
Incredible. I never thought I'd see a all-German final at Wembley.
Oh, it is amazing. On the two sides, well, listen,
no goats,
Bayern Munich.
No goats, though.
No. I mean, the two sides, when it comes to matching up, Munich are going to be the favourites here, but Dortmund, they've got one or two injury problems, haven't they?
They have. I mean, Götze is definitely out. That's a big blow for them. It will certainly affect the way they play. It might make them a little bit more defensive, which could work in their favour in terms of the result, but it doesn't really do much for their attacking game that they've have really excelled in. And Mats Hummels, the centre back and really spiritual leader of the team in many ways, he picked up an ankle injury, and I think he'll be okay, but he might not be 100%. And when Bayern played them in the cup in the quarter-final in February, he was missing, and the real problem when he's not on the pitch is their distribution from the back isn't as good. So they were playing a lot of long balls came back straight back, there was more pressure on them, and it didn't quite cope so well with Bayern that game.
What about one of the key battles Ronnie's touching on? Dante, the big centre-back against Lewandowski. He's small, he's nippy, he's quick. In battles in the past, who's come out on top there, Raf?
Well, since Dante's moved to Bayern, Dortmund haven't beaten them. The two league games were 1-1 each. Very, very close. The last game, Bayern played very much the C team, had a man set off, and still came away with a 1-1 draw at Dortmund. So I think the psychology has changed a little bit. They're no longer the bogey team. They're no longer the team that they really hate to play against. Dante has made them a lot more solid. Javi Martinez is fantastic in midfield. He picks up all the loose change that goes around because Lewandowski holds up the ball so well. The second ball has been Dortmund's strengths with Mandzukic up front, Martinez in the middle, and Dante. They've added three players who, both in an attacking sense and a defensive sense, have made a real difference to Bayern. And Lewandowski is, of course, the key player, but the protection from the midfield has been so strong that I think there won't be that many 1v1 situations in this game. And I'll give you one great stat. Philipp Lahm, the right back, has just come through the season without a single yellow card in the league. Wow. And the reason for that, he said, is I don't have to do any tactical fouls anymore. I don't have to stop attacks, counter-attacks. We don't have any counter-attacks because our midfield is so good they stop that from happening.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, well, you said actually at the top of the show, this is a surprise, an all-German final at Wembley. It's not that much of a surprise if you go back 4 or 5 years, and there was a big change around in German football, wasn't there?
There was. I mean, I would say that change really happened 10 years ago, but of course it needs a lot of time before it actually filters through. And the sort of the Reusses and Götzes and these type of players, they were 9-10 years old when they started getting the education and the top professional development that now is bearing fruit for so many young German players. But it took a long time to filter through. And of course, at the same time, Bayern, being the Manchester United of the Bundesliga, being a little bit of a special case in terms of the financial power that they've got, have been able to get the best of both worlds, because they can now pay for the likes of Robben and Ribéry, players who could play in any good team. At the same time, they've got
Neuer was linked with other clubs, big money.
Absolutely, but at the same time, they've got 5 or 6 players who've come through the youth system. They're, of course, a lot cheaper. That frees up capital to buy even better players. So the two things have come together, and of course Dortmund wouldn't be anywhere if they didn't have all these fantastic young players that have come through the system as well.
Great scouting system as well.
You mentioned Reus. I mean, these are just incredibly good players.
And Germans at Wembley, Dieter Hamann, last game at Old Wembley.
Dieter Hamann. I mean, there's a lot of Wembley stories now, being picked up in the German media, of course, in the advance to this game. And the one that I think has been slightly forgotten here is that, I don't know if you remember, but there was a poll by the FA. They wanted to give England fans the right to name that bridge for the new Wembley, and German fans hijacked that poll online and all voted for Didi Hamann because they wanted it to be Didi Hamann Bridge. For some reason, which I'm not quite sure about, the FA didn't like that.
They didn't fancy it.
So they stopped that poll and announced the White Horse Bridge.
Do you know who we should give some praise to? Jupp Heynckes as well. We should really praise this guy. He's been fantastic, hasn't he?
He's been amazing. I mean, the guy was 68 now. The manner of the defeat last year against Chelsea and finishing runners-up in all 3 competitions, people weren't quite sure he had it in himself to pick himself and the team up and do as well as he has done this season. But yeah, I think you have to say, first of all, the guy is so relaxed. and so calm and cool. The way he's handled the pressure this year, and also he showed that a little bit like Fergie at 67, 68, you're not too old to change your ways, because what he has done is he looked at Dortmund and said, what is the one thing that they had tactically that we didn't have last season? And that was the counter-pressing, very high pressing when they lost the ball, a little bit like in the old Barcelona style under Pep Guardiola. So they introduced that, and now you see 11 players of Bayern's quality hassling and harrying the opposition as soon as they lose the ball, and that is such an incredibly powerful tool.
I'm glad you picked up in Barcelona, because you're right, they did. They were brilliant at that. Okay, more from Ralf Honigstein to come. Of course, the European Tour's flagship event, the PGA Championship Wentworth, teed off down at beautiful Wentworth this morning. Let's get an update. Rupert Bell.
Well, it's bright and breezy for this opening day. I think everyone's just relieved that we've got some golf out on the course. Rory McIlroy, who is going to be splitting from his management team that also includes his Northern Ireland compatriot Graham McDowell, are playing alongside each other. Graham McDowell is level par through 3 holes, but McIlroy's just birdied the third hole to go to 1 under. And that's currently 1 behind Scott Jameson, who's opened up with successive birdies. After 2 holes, he's 2 under par. Other big names out today include Justin Rose this morning. He's not got off to the great start. He's 1 over par. Sergio Garcia, obviously the centre of the storm with Tiger Woods. Well, he tees it up this afternoon when the weather is expected to deteriorate to include strong winds and heavy rain.
Crikey, Rupert. Sergio, it's not going to be an easy few days for him, is it?
Well, even yesterday, Alan was thinking about pulling out of the tournament, but he says, and he hasn't played in this BMW PGA for 13 years.
Wow.
So here he is back, but I hope that he's got his mind firmly on his golfing ability, which we all want to see. But the interesting thing is, what kind of reaction will he get from the spectators here? Because obviously these inappropriate comments about Tiger Woods, which he's apologised unreservedly to, and watching the press conference yesterday, he looked very contrite. So hopefully his golf will do the talking this afternoon. He tees it up just after 1 o'clock.
And Rupert, US Open, is there any way you think that Sergio may have to pull out the US Open? And I know he's got sponsors' commitments, but at this moment in time, we're reading some of the sponsors might be pulling, coming away from Sergio.
Well, I don't think it would, even if they did, I'm sure he still would want to play. I think what the important thing is, and he did try yesterday, was to talk to Tiger Woods and actually sort of have a clear the air, because it's got out of hand. It was spiralling into an ever-increasing row. Then this inappropriate sort of what he thought was a jokey comment at the dinner. And if can have a chat with Tiger Woods, perhaps now a line can be drawn and he will play in the US Open. But at the moment, Sergio grabbing the headlines for the wrong reasons.
Nice one, Rupert. Rupert Bell down at Wentworth. Now, tweet us your questions for Ralf Honigstein at Sports Breakfast using the hashtag Ask Raf, capital A, Ask capital R, Raf. Ask Raf, okay? 14 after 9.
Get ready to roar.
The countdown is on to a summer of hard-tackling front-row rugby action.
Live and exclusive coverage of the entire British and Irish Lions tour of Australia.
Kicks off June the 1st.
On talkSPORT.
Schmelzer is given the free kick. It's chipped in towards the near post, headed high and away from the edge of the box, then comes back to the edge of the box and it's slammed in by Beresek. A wonderful goal. And Borussia Dortmund have a late equaliser in the Westfalen Stadium. Finally, there's a smile on Jurgen Klopp's face.
We want to write stories for the future. When we are old and grey, then we want to look back and want to tell our children and children's children what will happen on some days in our life, and for this you need special moments to remember, and this is a special moment. I never will forget this, for sure.
9:20, will it be special Saturday night for Jurgen Klopp? He's making a lot of nice friends, isn't he, Jurgen Klopp?
Oh yeah, he sells himself so well. He's such a brilliant guy.
He's good
on television. He is good as a manager, and he's good in terms of box office.
I was telling Alan actually about
I think he's on his way to become sort of the German Jose Mourinho, minus the eye poking and the conspiracy theories. It's just incredible.
After the Champions League game, the last one at home, after the match, you had Ruud Gullit. You had the Kaiser. They're all around the table chatting with the presenter. The managers come on live, but they're sat there with a glass of red wine each, aren't they? I mean, it's so casual. It was incredible with an audience, a live audience, and interviewing the managers straight after the game.
Yeah. That's. I was on that show as well, not on that particular show, but it is a little bit like that. And we've got also some gummy bears being distributed, to just keep us going. But it's good. It's a good show,
Hullet,
and
very talented.
I mean, Hullet is good in German, but Klopp is the main draw, and his English interviews have, I think, made him a cult hero.
Yeah. What's the story you were talking about earlier?
Well, it's an interesting story that came out today, and it came from the press day in Munich last week. And Matthias Sommer was talking to the English journals a little bit separately, and he was talking about the final loss against Chelsea last year, and he said, we weren't robust enough, maybe 1 or 2 substitutions weren't necessary either. And, this sounds fairly innocuous, but it's really him having a bit of a go at Jupp Heynckes. And a lot of people, within and without the club, have said Heynckes got it wrong when he substituted Thomas Müller and brought in Van Boyten, another centre-back, after Bayern were 1-0 up.
Yep.
I personally think that you can really look at that substitution and justify it, because it was very clear.
At the time,
of course, it was very clear that Chelsea would throw everyone forward, would play a long ball, would put the ball into the box after really sitting back for 115 minutes or so. And it was very clear 80 or 90 minutes or so, and it was very clear what was going to happen. And I think Van Boyten was the obvious, aerially strong guy to bring on. Of course, they go on to concede a corner, and from the first corner of the game that Chelsea had, concede the Drogba header, and then lose a bit of impetus without Müller on the pitch, who also would have taken a penalty. So you can see where Summer's coming from, but I think it's a bit strange that he makes this comment right now, a couple of days before the final. And B, I think it's a little bit easy to say that mistake, that substitution's lost us the final, because Bayern had enough chances to win it before and after that substitution, and really should have.
What about now tweets for Raf? This is using the hashtag AskRaf. Andrew Kaplowski says, we saw in the semis how both teams, they like to counter-attack. How will they set up in the final?
Well, I think Dortmund will be the counter-attacking side. That's how they've beaten Bayern. Bayern changed the system, changed the style of play for the Barcelona game, and I think it's testament to them being able to change and mix it up, because not many of the top sides can. They are very fixed in their ways. They play one style, and if it works, it's absolutely brilliant, but if it doesn't, then they start struggling. A little bit like what you saw what happened to Real Madrid and Barcelona when they didn't get their own way and had to play and had to defend. All of a sudden, they look very, very ordinary. And Dortmund will play their usual game that they've played in the Champions League. They press, but press a little bit deeper, because they know the really good sides, if you press them too high, you leave too much space behind you and you're in trouble. So they press a little bit deeper, and they look to hit them on a transition, which is really the key game for them, with Marco Reus picking up these balls, and with 1 or 2 quick contacts, you're in the opposition box. And Bayern will try to play their game, which is possession-based, and be very, very careful not to be caught out. So it could be, until that first goal will come, and I'm pretty sure there will be goals, but until that first goal will come in, it might resemble a bit of a chess game.
Very
What about Raymond Jones? He emails and he said, will Bayern sign a Lewandowski from Dortmund, and how does that affect Mario Gomez? Will he stay in Germany?
Well, most people assume that Gomez will have to go, and he's been linked to the Premier League before. Chelsea have made an inquiry before. We're not sure quite what the thinking is this year. I think it's all a bit up in the air as far as Mourinho is concerned, and if he's necessarily Mourinho striker, I'm not sure.
Ball this season, hasn't he? Super Mario Gomez.
Yeah, but he's still a centre forward who scores goals, so there aren't that many around, and he will have takers. But you're right. I mean, Lewandowski coming in, very likely to come in this summer, will mean that Gomez's time is up at Bayern. But it's not 100% sure yet that Lewandowski will come this summer, because the situation is a little bit complicated. Bayern haven't agreed a deal with him. He's actually gone to the Dortmund bosses this week and said, I only want to go to Bayern. I'm not interested in anyone else. So you might try to sell me to other clubs, which suit you better, not Bayern. But it won't happen, because my mind is made up. But Dortmund are still in a position where they say, should we take now 25, 30 million euros, or should we send a strong message that says you only leave on our terms, we'll make you stay another season, just to send a message to perhaps 1 or 2 other players who will also get offers this summer. So it's not yet sure what will happen. My money, though, would still be on him wearing a red shirt come July.
Absolutely. Going in from Robbie Wilson, he said, could the lack of Götze from Dortmund's team be a blessing in disguise?
I think it could be a blessing in disguise in terms of the defensive setup, because it looks like Kevin Grosskreutz will come in. He's a utility player. He's not really a creative attacking forward in the Götze mold. Marco Reus will move into the middle behind Lewandowski, and Grosskreutz will really help the right back Piszczek to close down on Bayern's very, very strong left-hand side, which is Lahm and Ribéry. So defensively, I think it will work for Dortmund, because he's much better doing that job than Mario Götze was, or Reus was. But it takes away a little bit from the kind of factor that they have going forward, because the little movement between Reus and Götze and Lewandowski was so brilliant, and you've taken one part of the puzzle out, and I think it might affect them a bit.
Right, Al, Tommy's got one for you to read there, mate. That's for a special one for Alan Brazil from Tommy.
Oh, is it? How close are Liverpool to signing Greek centre-back Papadopoulos from Schalke?
Brilliant.
Kyriakos Papadopoulos, yeah. They are pretty close. Schalke are fairly happy to sell. They would have been happy to sell him to Zenit in January. They had a very good offer, 20 million euros for him. I think Liverpool's offer will be a little bit lower, which will be a reflection of the fact that he's been out injured for most of the second half of the season. But there's no fear that he might be affected long term.
Yeah.
It's just that Schalke have 3 very good centre-backs, and they've picked up Santana from Dortmund for only 1 million euros because he had a release clause, because he's so good. But is only the 3rd centre-back at Dortmund. At Dortmund have basically said to him, we understand you want to go, and we basically let you go for a token 1 million euros this year. Of course, the fact that Schalke, their biggest, fiercest rivals, have picked them up didn't go down so well.
No,
but he's a great signing, and I think he'll make it easier for them to let Papadopoulos go.
Now, Ralph, can you stay on maybe 10 minutes more, please? We've got so many questions for you. Ralph Honigstein, our German football expert, building up to Bayern against Borussia Dortmund. 9:30 on talkSPORT, still to come in the Sports Breakfast this morning. We're going to be hitting from Palace striker Kevin Phillips ahead of Monday's giant game at Wembley, the Championship playoff final. From 10 o'clock, Keezy and Andy Gray will be speaking to the MP for Liverpool, Steve Rotherham. And at 1 o'clock, Paul Casey, Andy Jacobs are joined by New Zealand cricket captain Brendan McCullum.
Kick off on talkSPORT.
Tonight on Kick-Off, we'll ask, what can English football learn from the Germans ahead of the first all-Bundesliga Champions League final? From fan ownership, ticket prices, safe standing and proper coaching of kids, we'll discuss all the issues which have made the Bundesliga the best fan experience in Europe. We'll be speaking to a spectrum of special guests, including players, coaches and experts from Germany's top tier. So if you don't know your Eintracht Frankfurt from your Tony Cruz, then tune in for a distinctly German Kick-Off special.
Kick off
With me, Danny Kelly, tonight from 7 p.m.
on talkSPORT.
Sehr gut, ja?
Crikey, Ronnie and Ralph there were standing at attention. 9:33. Ralph Honigstein.
You don't mind
with us.
Germany, Al, do you?
I like Germany.
Got a lot in common.
Strong, great,
with the
great
Brits,
country. Yeah, I like Germany.
Like
don't
a
worry about
beer, good football.
Yeah, I'm very close.
Just
very
one
similar
beer,
to the British,
not
aren't
one
they?
beer.
Now, Andrew Kingsley, Ralph, says, is there really depth in German football, banning Bayern and Dortmund? The odd appearance from Schalke, no one else has done anything. So he's asking the question, are we getting a little bit too excited?
Well, I think there is no suggestion that the Bundesliga will now take over European football and will be in the final all the time, the way that the Premier League were a few years ago, or the way that perhaps you'd expect Real Madrid and Barcelona to do it. This is a bit of a one-off as far as Dortmund is concerned. They've come from almost nowhere in a very short space of time to be a European force. But he's right. There isn't really that 3rd or 4th or 5th team who could start the Champions League campaign thinking generally about winning it. We're not at that level yet.
Let's have a little look about ownership. Here we are, the United Kingdom, with Russian money, with Arab money. Whereas Germany, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to be all,
Don't allow it.
German finance rather than foreign investment.
It's not allowed, Alan.
Yeah, you can't buy a club, which is the bottom line. So it doesn't matter whether you're a Bavarian billionaire or a sheikh, you can't invest directly in a club. So the clubs have been forced to grow organically. And the thing with organic things is that it's quite healthy, but it takes a long time to do anything, to grow anything. And that's exactly what you've seen in the Bundesliga. Bayern have taken a long time from a very strong starting point to be at a level where they can actually compete with Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man United, 4 players in terms of wages.
And they have this mindset.
But no one else isn't really at that level yet. I mean, Dortmund need another 5-10 years to be at that level, and then behind them they've got the Schalkes and Hamburgs and all these clubs who need another 10-20 years. So it's a great model, but it doesn't allow for any shortcuts. And that's why we haven't been we're not in a situation yet where we can send 4 teams into the Champions League and think, we're going to win the league.
That means the German Football Federation would love fair play to kick in.
Absolutely. I mean, the Bayern Munich have been one of the big sponsors of that regulation coming in because they are self-sustainable. Everyone in Germany has to be self-sustainable. That's part of the licensing requirement. At the beginning of the season, if you can't show that you've actually got the money to pay for your wages without anyone coming in at the end of the season and signing a big check, you won't get licensed. You can't play. You'll get relegated to the 3rd or 4th division.
Even though they have their own clubs, Raf, when I've been over there, they have this mindset that, the Bundesliga is there to take on the rest of Europe. They've got their own clubs, Bayern, Dortmund, whoever it is, Schalke, but they do have the mindset of, the Bundesliga, challenging the rest of Europe.
Yes and no. I think what's important to understand is that in the past, the German supporters weren't really that fussed about being the biggest team or biggest club in Europe. They were more concerned with still having control of their own club, not being controlled by someone else who's just come in with a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Having identification and identity with the players, with the people who run the team. And I think that's where German football on a whole can feel a little bit proud, because this is not success that's been bought with the money of someone else and with the know-how of other people. This is German players, German coaches, German administrators, and German fans, and that's what makes it special. But the chap who wrote in is absolutely right. I mean, this is not yet the point where we can say, this is so great.
Yeah.
We're now just going to see German finals all the time. The strength isn't there yet.
Now, we haven't touched on Pep Guardiola going to Bayern. That was a coup, wasn't it?
It was a huge coup, but he's almost become sort of invisible since the announcement, and I think that's by design, because he wanted to not to be seen to be stepping on Jupp Heynckes' toes. He's been very distant, has been careful not to say anything at all about Bayern. And the players, I think, after some initial excitement, also have realised, that's great, he's coming, but we've got a season to play and we might win this thing now. And don't have to wait for him to come in and change a lot of things next season. And there's 2 schools of thoughts here, of course. One says he's going to come in, maybe after Bayern have won a treble. What can he really do? How can he improve this team? Isn't he just on a hiding to nothing? The other school of thought is, if Bayern win everything, then perhaps it's exactly the right time to change, because history in Germany certainly has shown that coaches who've won everything with a club, after sort of a long build-up and a long run-up, have then sometimes struggled to keep the same intensity, to keep the club going, and changes in the dressing room and perhaps also at the helm to freshen things up might be at the right point, even when they've just won everything. So I think that it's a pretty win-win situation. If they were to lose on Saturday, everyone will say, well, thank God we've got Pep Guardiola coming in, he'll push us over the line next year.
Yeah.
If they do win, I think they'll be happy, because Guardiola will change things and keep them fresh and try to make them even better, as he did with Barcelona. And of course, when they made the decision, they didn't expect Heynckes to do so well and have such an outstanding season, and they just realised, we've got a chance of getting Pep Guardiola here. We have to take it.
A bit like Real Madrid did with Jose Mourinho and sacked Pellegrini.
Yeah.
They thought, we've got to take him, he's available, let's grab him quick.
Absolutely, although it didn't quite work out the way I think they wanted.
Just on, listen, there's some fine players going to be on show. I think, like you, it's going to be at cages to start with. Once the first goal goes in, I think it's just going to be all open football. They're both going to go for it. But I have to mention, Alan, we talk about top midfield players across Europe. Obviously, Xavi, Iniesta, some great players. I think Matt has been brilliant for Chelsea this season. But Bastian Schweinsteiger, you know, this guy, the last 4 or 5 years, I think he's been absolutely immense and right up there with the best. Even when Sneijder was the top of his game, I think this fella is an absolute joy to watch.
I mean, he's been an absolute sensational form, and he's had a very tough season. He missed a penalty for Bayern that decided the game. Well, was one of the ones that decided the game in the final. And then he had a very poor Euro because he was injured.
He wasn't fit as well, even for the Champions League final.
No, he wasn't fit. This year he's been fit, and he's been absolutely imperious. He controls the whole pace and sort of temperature of the game, because he can, just with the way he passes, can speed it up or slow everything down, and that's a thing that Dortmund, they have Gundogan, who's a similar player,
who's
but they haven't
fella
quite
with
got...
the dark hair? Is it number 8? He's in midfield for
Martinez.
Dortmund.
Javi Martinez.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love
I mean,
him.
When Bayern went out and bought him from Athletic Bilbao for 40 million euros, because that was his release clause, and Bilbao were adamant that it's not going to be 1 cent less, people thought, do they really need a holding midfielder? Because he's a holding midfielder, he's a destroyer, for 40 million euros. But Bayern realized that next to Schweinsteiger, they needed someone who's a bit more of a specialist, because Schweinsteiger himself is more number 8, as we say in Germany. He's in between creative midfield and holding midfield. He's not a holding midfielder, and he's not creative midfielder.
And he'll go deep if he has to, just get the ball.
And he can score goals, but Martinez gives him the protection. He's watching out for him, and he helps him, and he's made Schweinsteiger so much better this season. And I think also for Germany, as far as the World Cup is concerned, if they can find somebody, Khedira is good, but if they can find someone who's perhaps even more defensive behind Schweinsteiger, I think they'll be in a better shape, have more balance in the squad.
Prediction times, Raf. Give me the score.
I'm going to go for 2-1 for Bayern. It's a pretty standard sort of bet for a final, but I think we will see goals. And I think that if Bayern score early, there's a bigger chance of them actually running away with it and perhaps even ending up winning 3-1, 4-1, than Dortmund coming back. So I think that first goal is going to be absolutely crucial. If Bayern score, I'm 100% convinced they're going to win quite comfortably. If Dortmund score, I think Bayern would be in trouble.
Wow. Okay, Raf Honigstein, enjoy the final, Raf.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. Right, we're going to look at Monday's game coming next, Palace-Watford. Kevin Phillips coming next, 9:42.
Talk Sport, on air, online and on TV at Virgin Media Channel 927.
The all-time greatest 11 on talkSPORT with the Football Heroes stamp collection from Royal Mail, celebrating 11 real football heroes on the 150th anniversary of the FA.
9:46 on talkSPORT now to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the founding of the FA. Royal Mail's issuing a stamp collection and it's honouring 11 of the most heroic home international players the United Kingdom has ever produced.
Yeah, some of the players featured in the Football Heroes stamp collection include George Best, Gordon Banks and John Charles. Yes, over the last 10 days on talkSPORT we've been commemorating some of the fantastic achievements of the Football Heroes selected, and today's talkSPORT Sam Matterface, he's focusing on our player profile, the one and only Bobby Charlton.
No player has a greater claim to be known as Mr. Manchester United than Sir Bobby Charlton. He carried the side in the aftermath of the Munich air disaster and 10 years later captained his team to European glory for the first time. Known for his thumping long-range shots, Charlton's best position was just behind the strikers as an attacking midfielder. In his time at United, he won 3 league titles, an FA Cup, and he scored twice in that 1968 European Cup final win over Benfica.
Best, Charlton in the middle, so to is Aston. Charlton! Another! He's got another! Oh, what football this is by United.
Charlton was the player of the tournament as England won their first and only World Cup in 1966, and in the same year he was also awarded the Ballon d'Or. His 49 goals in 106 caps puts him top of the all-time scorers list for England, while he is also the record holder at Old Trafford, where he netted 247 times.
12 minutes to 10 o'clock. I just loved just hearing that commentary again, Ronnie. Brilliant. You know, first I watched Celtic 67, then United 68, but when Bobby Charlton got the ball and he just flowed over the pitch, and you knew, here we go, he's going to let one fly any minute now. Brilliant, great ambassador.
I mean, arguably the best player Manchester United has ever had. Some people argue that. There's plenty of them to choose for, but I mean, listen, you can relate to him now in the modern game. Maybe Ryan Giggs now, played at United for so long. Ryan Giggs, Bobby Charlton. I mean, they said there wouldn't be another Matt Busby, there wouldn't be another Bobby Charlton. Maybe Sir Alex Ferguson, Ryan Giggs has certainly come close to that, because, Bobby Charlton, Sir Bobby Charlton, absolutely brilliant. What a wonderful footballer.
Yeah, brilliant. Now that concludes our look. It was very difficult, wasn't it, to pick 11? Yeah. Crikey. That concludes our look at Royal Mail's Ultimate Dream Team, featuring 11 of the most heroic home international players ever. All thanks to Royal Mail's Football Hero stamp collection, celebrating the 150th anniversary of the FA, and of course the 140th anniversary of the Scottish FA.
Yeah, the Football Hero stamp collection is the perfect souvenir for any football fan. Items include the highly collectible prestige stamp book, limited edition frame print signed by the artist, 150 of those available, and strips of the individual players featured, along with many other unique football gifts. Perfect for Father's Day on the 16th of June. Don't forget that's only a few weeks' time, so don't forget, give this a go. For more information on how to start your collection, you can go to royalmail.com/football heroes.
The all-time greatest 11 on talkSPORT with the Football Hero stamp collection from Royal Mail, celebrating 11 real football heroes on the 150th anniversary of the FA. Go further into the story on talkSPORT with the all-new Ford Transit Custom International Van of the Year 2013.
We have to wait and see how the lads handle the day and the issues. We've given them as good a chance as we can, and we know exactly who we're taking on. We know how they will play. They've played the same way all season, and some teams have struggled to stop them. So we've got to first concentrate on stopping them, and then see if we can counter-attack and hurt them.
Yeah, in Holloway there, what a game this is going to be. We talked about Saturday night, but what about Monday? Whoa. Crystal Palace take on Watford in the Championship playoff final on Monday, and talkSPORT will bring you full live commentary of this game. We spoke about Bobby Charlton's goals. Well, but this fella's goals. John is now a man who played for both teams and has scored an amazing 284 career goals. I'm sure some of them must have been up the gym. Kevin Phillips joins us now. Kevin, morning.
Morning, Kev.
Morning, guys. I think they include the ones in training as well.
Kev, this is probably a wee difficult one for you. You were balled up town as a kid, weren't you? And Watford, played for Watford. And now Palace, it's going to be some game, Kev. And I think it's so evenly matched, I really do.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the bookies have made favourites, but, there's two teams going into the game banging form. Ourselves having the two great games against Brighton, especially the second leg, and it's two teams that like to get the ball down and play football. On a big pitch at Wembley, I'm pretty sure it'll be exciting encounter.
Yeah, with Glenn Murray out, excuse me, do you hope to play a big part, Kevin?
I hope so, Ron. I don't expect to start the game. I expect the team that probably started the game at Brighton will probably start. But yeah, I'm hoping at some point in the game, I'll be used and I can come on and make some kind of impact, just as I did at Vicarage Road earlier on in the season. So yeah, I'm pretty hopeful that I can.
Kev, tell me a little bit about the young boy Williams. I really like him as a player.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's got great talent and great energy. He's comfortable on the ball. He likes to, drop deep, get the ball and drive at the back four. And he's such a nice lad as well. He's got a good temperament, and he's certainly got a great future in the game if he keeps learning and keeps producing the goods he's got. And he's playing in a team where he can express himself, and he's not, the manager's not too concerned about players making mistakes. He's always encouraging them, and I think that's important for him.
And Zaha's last game
as
well.
Great semi-final for him. Whew.
Yeah, let's hope he goes out with a bang. I spoke to him before the playoff games. This is the stage set for you now, to show the country, the world what you're all about. And, Monday's there's no bigger occasion. The game's worth a fortune, and it's a great, spotlight for him to show Manchester United supporters and the new manager and the Palace supporters who have been great to him. He's been there 10 years, and what a way to sign off if he was to put in a man of the match performance and hopefully score the winning goal.
What about how's the training been going, Kev? Do you notice any nerves, or are the boys just is there a bit of giggling going on and enjoying themselves, trying to just forget about it till the big day comes?
Yeah, I think, it's, for me personally, from the playoff legs to the finals too long. You've got to be careful what you do. You've got to get the balance just right, training and rest. But we've been in Monday, Tuesday. We've got out, certainly done team play with Watford in mind. Couple of days rest. We're back in tomorrow, ready for the build up. So I sense that. I've been in this situation many times, but I sense from these players they can't wait to play the game. A lot of the players have never been to Wembley. They've watched the game, they've heard about the occasion, and then they're all, really excited about getting the game on.
And Kevin, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves here, but if you make it to the promised land, will you be playing at the age of 40?
Well, I don't know, Ronnie. First of all, I need a break. It's been a long 2 years of travelling to Blackpool and Palace, but if that was the case, it's certainly something I would look at, but I'm pretty sure that I'll carry on for one more year. Where it is, I don't know, mate.
Lovely.
I was going to say I spoke to Holly last week and it's not going to happen, Kev, but then...
Thanks for that.
I love you.
I'm only kidding.
He'll have you, definitely. Almost guaranteed.
Listen, now, in terms of Ian Holloway knows the character, but Zola's done really, really well. And it's not easy. I know a lot of people, Kev, were whinging about all these loan players, but it's not easy to gel them together, and he's done that brilliantly.
He certainly has, and in a tough league in the Championship as well, where the games come thick and fast. He's certainly got the best out of those players, and there's some exciting talent in there. And we know we're in for a tough game. They've got some exciting players. They've got pace in the team. But as the manager said in the previous interview we just listened to, they played the same way all season. They're not going to change for the game. So we've worked on that, and hopefully we've got enough in our side to beat them. But it's going to be a difficult match, and on the big pitch at Wembley, it's going to be the team that holds their nerve and takes their chances that's going to win the game.
Brilliant. Kev, listen, good luck, pal. I hope you get on, and
cheers, guys.
I really wish Palace the best. Well done.
Well done, Kev.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Kevin Phillips there. What a game, eh? Imagine sitting there. He'd be dying to get on, wouldn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Why not? What a way to finish as well. But then again, he's still going to do another year,
He
huh?
scored some
Premier
goals,
League at
hasn't he?
40.
284 goals.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Well,
right, coming up to 5 to 10, we're back in a tick.
Talk Sport. On air, online and on TV at Sky Channel 0108.
Coming up to 10 o'clock, Chicken. What sort of weekend we're going to have?
Golf? I might play a little bit of golf Saturday morning, but I'm not too sure at the moment, Al, to be honest. Just taking it easy, watch the test match, watch a bit of the cricket, and then sort of go from there, really. Bank holiday Monday, isn't it? So, yeah.
Any news on your tickets for the Champions League?
No, I don't think that's going to be happening.
Oh, really?
I'm not fussed about going, to be honest. I'm not fussed about going at the moment. So, but just watch it indoors and crack on.
Right. Well, listen, 6 years has gone quickly, mate.
Yeah,
I wish you all the very, very, very best.
Thank you.
Anytime in London, just give me a text, a call, and we're out. We're on it.
Cheers,
and we've still got a few things to do together as well, haven't we?
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Al.
Okay, Ronnie Irani, that's it. Although you will hear Ronnie next Sunday, is it? Sunday cricket show, Ronnie?
Yeah, possibly this Sunday, yeah. Just got to work out what's going on, to be honest.
Okay, I'm back tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. Former Liverpool, Real Madrid and England winger Steve McManaman will be one of the guests here on the Sports Breakfast. Richard Keys, Andy Gray coming up next. Good morning, Keysy.